Okay, so now we'll do this and then bring it out to 55. And then we'll be able to show you exactly where we're talking about in timing. So, Rising Sun, it's going to be there at 10:26, Union at 10:35, and Independence at 10:32. All of those areas, you need to go to your tornado safe place. I'm going to tell you right now, just by the look of this area here, that looks pretty menacing across that area of Hillsborough at the moment. So, again, a tornado warning. That'll be out until 10:45. We're talking about Ohio and Dearborn and Switzerland and Boone and Gallatin County. We're seeing this, see this little green spot here? Let me highlight it for you. This is as if you were looking at a blender, because what's going on right now is this is moving so fast in a rotational sense that the rain is actually falling lightly in the middle, just as if you were looking down at a blender as all of the a mixture is pulled to the side. That's what's going on in this area right now. Obviously, there's frequent lightning with this. Let's take a look at it. Right in this panel that we're looking at, there's 32, 34 strikes. So this storm looks to be growing in intensity. Winds have been clocked upwards of, let me double check here. We're talking about, I'm going to take a look at the very latest and see what we can find underneath the storm. As we look at it here, we've got winds going both ways, 20, 30 miles an hour. That's just in circulation. Straight line winds are at 60 to 70 miles an hour. So this is a very dangerous storm. We're talking about a thunderstorm heading across this area that is in the polygon of red. You'll see from Hillsborough over to Rising Sun. We're in continuous coverage because we are now under a tornado warning for these folks across that area. This was the area that we had warned earlier in the day that might very well be a problem. Now, some folks are probably hearing sirens and have been, because there are different emergency management kind of policies across the area, but every county that you see yellowed is under a severe thunderstorm warning, and the area that we're following is right here by Hillsborough, and you can just barely see that red shade there across Hillsborough and Rising Sun. So for you folks, we're talking about a storm now that's moving still at 55 miles an hour. Let's give you an updated area-wide Nelson around the Hartford area. This is about where the core of the storm is. State Route 262. You folks in the Buffalo area, Cofield Corner, you all need to be in your tornado safe place, as well as communities like Camp Shore and Bellevue, Waterloo, and Commissary Corner, all small towns across Indiana and Boone County. Nevertheless, folks in that area know exactly where I'm talking about. We're talking about a threatening storm that clearly had some serious rotational properties across that area. This warning came out from the National Weather Service just a short bit ago in the last few moments. I'm looking at the very latest here. We're looking at a population size of about 25,000 people within this tornado-warned area. Now, the warning has been moved so that is essentially cut down through about the area now approaching Rising Sun. So for you folks there who are just probably hearing some sirens, you are under an active tornado warning. Now, this warning is going to continue as we go through about 10:45, so we're looking at a good 25 minutes or so as this continues across that area. This includes also places like Patriot and Beaver Lick that's a little bit more well-known across that region, even though it's not on the screen. The core of the storm looks to be right around the Hartford area and Cofield Corner right at the moment. These storms will continue to push off to the east-southeast. They're ripping across there at about 50 miles an hour. Let me see if I can catch an update from the National Weather Service and see if there's any further information they can give me. It doesn't look like it right at the moment. So as you look at it, though, you'll notice the intense lightning field, not just in that area, but also across the tri-state. Look up here where the box says total strikes for everybody. 800 and some strikes within just this box. You can see all of the flashing polygons polygons. These are active severe thunderstorm warnings. We're talking about wind gusts to 60 miles an hour in many locations all across the tri-state. Most importantly, and I'm going to draw it on the map here, the end of this storm right here is the one that we're watching. And then the line that continues straight up through here, that is the cold front that's passing through the region. That's the most potent part of the storm. However, I'm noticing out here by Mount Orab, there's an intense amount of lightning there. That's definitely going to put out some power across that region. Where you're seeing some of the red spikes here across the area, you're talking about, let me just see this here, there's additional warnings going out, but just assume if it's thunderstorming in your area, it's likely a severe thunderstorm warning, quite frankly. Now, I don't want to leave the folks down here across southeast Indiana or Boone County hanging, because right now they're either listening on their app or in the basement with the television turned up loud. And again, we're seeing still a little of this outflow here. Let's take a look underneath the storm and see if, well, not getting as much data as we need to really determine what the kind of circulation is within this storm. But you'll notice these areas of green and red. And what that means is these green areas are going away from the radar and the red is going toward. So if you think about it, you're talking about an area in here in the middle that's doing a little loop-de-loop going back and forth. And that's where we end up getting rotation within that area. So that's why these folks are under a tornado warning until 10:45, and many other areas are under a severe thunderstorm warning until 11 o'clock. Now, as long as you folks in that box that we're talking about in Boone County and across, we're talking about down through Ohio and Switzerland County, are in your tornado safe place, let me give you an update on the rest of the tri-state. You folks in Hamilton County, you're all under a severe thunderstorm warning. You'll see the immense amount of lightning here. Let me bring in just Hamilton County in this box. 125, 150 lightning strikes are happening just in Hamilton County alone. Butler and Warren County, you're looking at 300 lightning strikes across the region. You'll see Lebanon over by Hamilton, up through Middletown, down through Fairfield and Westchester. Now, I'm going to set these storms in motion here and take off everything else so you can get a sense of how things are moving. I'm going to show you just the last hour and how things have been going across the region. And let me set it for you, and there you go. You'll see this has only been 1 hour, and that has already moved across the region. That line that you see is acting like a lawnmower, and it has already knocked down power poles and other damage and roof and shingles as it has moved across southeast Indiana. So that line that you see that's stretching pretty much bisecting the tri-state here at 1023 is the one that will continue moving southeast at around 45 or 50 miles an hour, meaning for you folks on the other side of this line, that would be this area here. You are going to see this line move through and likely cause some damage, or at least have the potential for damage. Now, you'll notice the purple shades here in our reflectivity. This is some intense rain that's coming down across the area. Some of these areas will likely flood out in some of the county roads, at least temporarily. Not that anybody's traveling, but if you live in a low-lying area, just keep that in mind. Okay, now let's go back to seeing where we stand with the tornado warning. It's active here until 10:45, as I mentioned. By the look of the structure of this, I would say that things are looking a little bit better as it starts jumping toward Boone County, but nevertheless, you're still under a tornado warning for the next 20 minutes. And again, we're looking at this storm that is likely right around the rising sun area, North's Landing probably, right in through here. So we're looking at Antioch Road, we're looking at North Branch Road, we're looking at Bark Works, and in fact, you'll see there's a little update in the radar there. State Route 56. Now, I know no folks are traveling at this hour. That's the good news. Everybody's in a safe at home position in their basement, most likely, especially in this area. But I mention these things so that folks know approximately where the worst part of the storm is. So that means for Bellevue, Commissary Corner, you folks are right now just about in the worst part of the storm. For you folks that are out by Oak Brook and Union and Big Bone and Hume and Beaver Lick and Patriot. You're on the outside of this storm right now, but it's approaching you right at the moment. And so as we look again at the entire tri-state, we continue to see severe thunderstorm warnings out ahead of this storm. There's a new one now. You'll notice for you folks across Owen and across Grant and across Pendleton County, we have got ourselves another severe thunderstorm warning. You folks that are also across Kenton and Campbell County. Now, some of these counties, you're going to start to hear sirens going on. If you're just tuning in, unless you live in Boone or Ohio or Switzerland County, you are not under a tornado warning. There is a tornado warning in the counties that I just mentioned. However, because of some counties that will set off the sirens, if there's a severe thunderstorm warning in a tornado watch, some folks may be hearing them right now. And that's in some cases what's going on around the tri-state, because we are still under a tornado watch until 2 a.m. And a severe thunderstorm warnings are now out for just about every county we serve, save Fayette and Union that just got out of warnings, and you folks in Mason and Bracken. But you'll be next, because this line of storms is heading for you, and the Weather Service is correctly setting off the warnings in advance of this line, because this line has already done damage, as I mentioned a few moments ago, across southeast Indiana. Now, I'm hearing a little update from my notification here. Let's see where we stand. Okay. Here's some good news for you folks across Clermont County. You are actually being released. Oh, goodness gracious. We've got a new tornado warning. Okay. Here is the latest tornado warning. In fact, it's not even crossing our 9 first warning Doppler, already picking it up. I'll get the information momentarily from the Weather Service, but it's right here from Northbrook to White Oak to Wyoming to Elmwood Place to Norwood to Madeira to Blue Ash, across Sycamore, which means right in around Sims and Milford and Stone Lick, out to about Newtonsville and Goshen. You guys are now under a tornado warning until 11 o'clock. And in fact, I think I hear some sirens outside the studio. Maybe someone, I think Tanya's the only one left in our studio these days, but maybe she can give me an update if she hears that. But I think I hear that through some of our windows here. Okay, most importantly, we're looking at a tornado warning then for you folks of all of the towns I just mentioned. It's essentially from about north side over to the east side in Hamilton County, and then half of Clermont County, stretching from Batavia up to the northern part of the county. So we have a new tornado warning that's out. In fact, it hasn't even been released by the Weather Service yet, but our Doppler sirens are going off. Yeah, Tanya just came out to give me the thumbs up and just said that is indeed the case. And we're getting the information in now from the National Weather Service, who have pulled the trigger on the tornado warning. Okay, this is, let's see here. Tornado warning, yeah, I mentioned all that till 11 o'clock. This is a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado, which means we were at the stage where it's so close, the National Weather Service said we have to warn for a tornado, because at any moment a tornado could drop down from this storm. It's moving east at 45 miles an hour. There's a lot of hail with this as well, and as you see the lightning that's going off about this too. We have got in the panel you're looking at, folks, look up in the corner, 500 lightning strikes. Goodness gracious, I rarely see something like that in this small an area. I'll tell you where this is happening right now, right in through Lincoln Heights and Reading and Brookwood and Gulf Manor and Norwood Heights. You folks in Deer Park, Silverton, Dillonville, Blue Ash, up by Evendale, you all should be in your tornado safe place. In fact, all of the areas I mentioned a few moments ago, you should be there as well. This is the action, and this is the area where undoubtedly the circulation is strongest and where those winds are twisting back and forth. Now, go on to the storm. Nope, don't have enough data there to to give you an update as to where things stand. So I'll just tell you that this is what appears to be in the reflectivity of the area where the circulation is happening. I'll draw it on for you so you can get a better, bigger view. We're looking at about there for this storm. And again, this is pushing off to about the, I want to get it right, east at 45 miles an hour. So let's get a little ETA as to what's going on with that portion of the storm. We'll go right across this area here, and 45 will bring us to there. And here's our present ETA. From where I marked the storm, which is pretty close to the center, we're talking about an area that's going out toward Madeira and out toward Stone Lick. So these areas, I got just a second here, got to clear that off. So I want to get it right centered on the place right there and then bring it out. Hold on a second. We'll get a nice momentary cone here, and here we go. So you folks across, what is it, Deer Park, Blue Ash, Montgomery, Madeira, Sims, Terrace Park. We're looking at Owensville, Batavia, and Newtonsville. Newtonsville, if this holds together, in the next 26 minutes, it'll be out by you. Likely this storm will still be severe. Whether it is still tornadic, it will have to wait and see. I'm going to leave this on the screen a little bit. Keep in mind, as you may race to your basement, grab your phone, and you can either download our WCPO 9 app or WCPO.com/live. WCPO.com/live. And you can watch us live on your phone or get the app if you don't already have it. Now, I want to get back to the other tornado warning that is down in Ohio and Switzerland County and see where we stand on that. It appears to me that they've extended the warning. So, as an update for you folks across that region, we are talking about a storm system around the Warsaw area right now. I know it's difficult with all of these flashing polygons to see that. I have got, let's see, hold on. That's a new tornado warning. We have got now 2 areas that are tornado warned. It is, I'm going to do something here, folks, if you'll bear with me. I'm going to take off the severe thunderstorm warnings because most likely, there we go. That'll help you out to be able to see this. And then as we look at it, you'll now see the active tornado warnings. I'm going to take the lightning off because we know that that's just intense. Goodness gracious, across the tri-state, we're looking at 1,156 strikes. Now, you'll be able to see this better and now be able to see the tornado warned areas. I know it's very difficult with everything on there, and sometimes I'm so accustomed to seeing it, I forget how difficult it is to see. So here's where we are right at the moment. First and foremost, everywhere you see a red flashing box, those are tornado warnings. I'm going to update you with the information here momentarily, but what I wanted to do first is give you a chance to actually be able to see this so that you had a chance to get a sense of where these warnings are in case they obviously include you. So now, right at the present time, here is the tornado warning that is brand new. We are talking about well, right along this area from Rising Sun, stretching down to Dry Ridge. Now, Crittenden and Dry Ridge, you need to take your tornado warning safe place now. The storm is not near you. Don't think because it's not raining that it isn't heading for you. This storm, obviously, is the potency of a tornado warning, and it's going right through Glencoe, Crittenden, and Dry Ridge. It's marching toward you now. Don't wait to see it. That's what people make the mistake of doing. There's a big sociology involved with that. You want to be able to see it. Oh, nothing around by me. Don't do that. Now, the other warning that's out now is stretching from about Northbrook, White Oak, Forest Park, Evendale, Wyoming, Gulf Manor, Blue Ash, Norwood, and Madeira. This storm is heading off to the east at roughly 50 miles an hour. Right now, that line takes it just out to Stone Lick, right ahead of Batavia and Newtonsville. Now, folks like Milford and Goshen and Merrimont and Newtown, all of these areas here, you're not seeing much in the way of rain. Believe me, it's going to come down torrentially, and those winds are going to pick up hugely shortly. This storm is heading right for you right now. Now, I want to go back and give you a little ETA estimate as to when this storm is going to get to you. I'm getting a new warning, so I'm just going to check out exactly what's going on. This is another severe thunderstorm warning. Let me say this to you folks, because I've got to stay on top of these tornado warnings for the obvious reasons. If you feel there's thunderstorms by you, they are likely severe. So there's likely 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. So as I back out the radar, the most important areas, oh goodness, we've got another tornado warned area right now. So we actively have 4 tornado warnings out in the tri-state at present. I've mentioned the one on the east side going into Clermont County. I've mentioned the ones in Boone County stretching down through also Gallatin and Grant and also Pendleton. We now have a new warning for you folks who are in also Kenton and Campbell County. All right, this is going to come out shortly. It's not out just yet. Our 9 first warning Doppler always takes it directly. The Weather Service hasn't even put out the information, but I'm going to tell you it's right here, right now, stretching from Erlanger and Villa Hills and Lakeside Park and Taylor Park, Ryland Heights, Highland Heights, stretching out to New Richmond. These storms are now just reaching downtown Cincinnati. They're now going to be working across the area. There's an intense amount of lightning. There's winds at least to 60 miles an hour. And in some cases, as I've mentioned, there are actively 4 tornado warnings across the tri-state. So as we look at it at present, I want to see where, from the reflectivity, I really can't see where the circulation might be most, but the strongest portion of the storm is right around Crestview Hills right now. So if I mentioned your town just a moment ago, go take your tornado safe place. We haven't had a report yet from the National Weather Service. They have got their hands full, as I do, and they've got 4, and they're trying to get all the information out as well. So let me do this and take a look at where we're looking at some of the highest wind gusts across the tri-state. And as we look at it, we've got some very strong winds that are showing down through northern Kentucky, according to our Doppler. We're looking at 70-mile-an-hour wind gusts. Look at this line of hail. Tanya just showed me a small pea-size hail, but let me just document some of this for you within some of the area around the tri-state. You'll notice 1, 2, 3, 4 active tornado warnings. Now I want to show you some of the hail that's falling. We have hail as big as 1.5 inches, a half-inch, an inch, and look at this stripe of half-inch hail. So that's all just right down the spine of that cold front. That cold front is all working to the east-southeast. It's moving, at last report, anywhere from 45 to 50 miles an hour. It's going to continue to just move right across the entire tri-state as if it was a giant mower, kind of knocking things down, probably taking shingles, perhaps doing even worse damage. And certainly down here, let me just find out exactly where that is, because I want to see where that 70-mile gusts are coming. Right around Beaver Lick, Verona area, likely heading in and around Walton, heading toward Piner. All of those areas, that's where you're going to see some very strong wind gusts and likely some rotation and circulation with these storms. Now, as you look at it, let's go back and recap. We have a tornado warning out until 11 o'clock. I see a little wind gust in there. Hold on a second. I want to find out where we stand there. All right, there's a 60-mile-an-hour wind gust right there at that moment, and that's around the Blue Ash Madeira area. That doesn't mean there aren't other gusts. It's just more pronounced and more sustained. Even though it is a gust, it could be like gusts that are happening to 60, and that's what our radar generally picks up first. So this is a tornado warning for this area that you see, stretching from likely Sharonville, Reading, Amberley, Norwood, Blue Ash, Sycamore, Sims, Milford, Marymount, Newtown, Stone Lick, Goshen. You folks, hopefully, I think, are all in your tornado safe place, as well as Terrace Park. I want to mention Terrace Park. I have good friends out there, and I hope you guys, Jan and Bruce, are in your basement. All right, so as we look at it, here's the story on the other tornado warning. You'll notice that this is picking up some very heavy rain as well. I want to just see this. Look at the torrential rain around Fort Wright and Lakeside Park. We're talking about coming down at 5 inches an hour. Now, it doesn't mean it's going to collect to 5 inches because it's moving so fast, but I mean, that is really some heavy, heavy rain. You'll notice the half-inch hail that's there in pink as well. or purple, I guess. Villa Hills, Lakeside Park, Erlanger, Taylor Park, Oak Ridge, Ryland Heights, out by Alexandria, out by Melbourne, Highland Heights, Wilder, all under a tornado warning. You need to get in your tornado safe place. All right, here's some of those gusts that are happening down in northern Kentucky. Let me turn up. There we go. Here comes the gust, folks. Walton and Piner, get in your tornado safe place right now. If you were waiting, now's not the time to wait any longer. Right crossing over 75 or 70 mile an hour gusts. Thank goodness that it's a shelter in place or a stay at home order. We'd have folks on the interstate probably really having issues. So these winds are heading right for you, Piner, right for you, and they're heading right through Morning View most likely. Where they're located right at the moment, right around 75 by Beaver Road and State Highway 14. You folks in that area, you know where I'm talking about, and that's the problem area right now. All right, we're continuing to get active warnings around here, and I'm just going to continue to check out if there's anything more. There's a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings, so let's update everybody. I've given the tornado warnings updated, and you'll see what's going on here, both in and across Kenton and Campbell County. That tornado warning till 11. You'll notice the other warning across Boone County is until 10:45 that we've highlighted. That's also down through Switzerland and then Gallatin County. And then the other warning is down here in through Grant and Pendleton County. Now, I want to update you folks there for the simple reason that it's on the way to you. Crittenden, you're about to get whacked. You're going to see one of the most powerful parts of the storm. It's going to continue to cut right across 75, and then it looks like it'll just continue to move into the Dry Ridge area and on its way to Butler, over by Pendleton County. So you folks need to be in your tornado safe locations. Now, the rest of these storms that you see are likely all, and I'm going to find out right now for everybody else who's watching. I'm going to turn on everything else, and there we go. Just a mess of flashing polygons. All those yellow polygons that you see, all active severe thunderstorm warning. That means the storms that are under there are all carrying wind gusts to at least 60 miles an hour. And as we showed you just a few moments ago, they're also carrying a terrific amount of hail, damaging hail in some occasions. Now, as we look at things at present, that area in Highland County, I want to highlight for you folks stretching through Hillsborough, and especially down in what would be the southwestern part of the county. In fact, the National Weather Service just issued a brand new severe thunderstorm warning for that area. Okay, so I want to update that and take a look underneath the storm. This is going to show you where some of the most intense parts of the storms are located. For folks who are watching, let me take this over here for a second. Do you see those black core areas? These are going to be just chunks of hail. And you'll see as I highlighted up toward Wilmington and over there where I was talking about in Highland County, you're talking about 2-inch hail that's likely melting down only a quarter. So we're talking about perhaps ping pong size hail coming out of those storms. We're also seeing significant wind gusts. There's 1 to 60 miles an hour. There's more 60 mile an hour wind gusts here. Those are within the tornado warned areas. Here's some good news. There's been an update in the tornado warning for you folks in Hamilton County. Let me shut these off just momentarily, and or turn off what I should say is the severe thunderstorm warnings. And if I do that, you'll be able to see the change that's happened across the area. What's up?
4,000 customers without power right now.
That's okay. You heard Tanya there in the background give you a little update. I think we picked up her mic just there at the end. So just to repeat, 4,000 people without power. Tanya, is that mostly probably?
I know that Mount Lookout is out. So most of just the Cincinnati area right now. I'm trying to look at their outage map.
I'll let you do that.
Whitewater area, that kind of thing.
Good. Let me update this area.
Sporadic.
Still an active tornado warning for the areas that you see right now. Some of the strongest wind gusts are happening right over Milford right now. Folks, if you waited, it was a mistake. Get in your basement now, please. As we look at Goshen and Stone Lake, just out to Newtonsville and Owensville, you folks should be ready to get in your basement shortly if this storm progresses and the Weather Service determines to push the warning. Now, for you folks on the east side of town, you're still seeing some pretty intense storms. You're still seeing severe thunderstorms, Norwood up through Madeira. However, it is not tornado warned any longer. That doesn't mean there's not strong wind gusts that could do damage. Thankfully, those twisting winds that can do more damage are not in your area at present. Also, in Kenton County, well, here we go. We just got an update on the radar, and that is across Campbell County, right by Alexandria. In fact, it's right by NKU. Is right by, right in through to the south of NKU, down through Alexandria. There's wind gusts, let's just peg it for you, at 60 miles an hour. It's starting to move right by the AA highway, I think. Yeah, there it is, right there. So it's on its way, and this is a tornado-warned area. You folks in Alexandria, over by Oneida and Carthage and New Richmond, all get in your tornado-safe locations. California, New Palestine, all same idea for that area. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at the other area that is tornado warned, and there is some significant winds in the Pioneer area. Thank goodness you folks listen to me if you're watching online on the app or whatever. There are some winds that are 70 miles an hour within the tornado warned area, right in the Pioneer area. Morning View, you are next. It's heading for you. Get in your basement now if you're not already. We're also seeing a much more significant line of winds now stacking up, in fact, stretching across, thankfully, mostly rural area, but nevertheless, the smaller towns of Flingsville, Sherman, and Northcutt. These winds are going to come whipping and likely damaging winds across that area. All of this line of red that you see are 60-mile-an-hour gusts, and they're all moving off to the east. So you folks in there to Knoxville to Portland, you're still under a tornado warning. You need Gardnersville. You all need to be in your tornado-safe area. There's going to be some damage there with those winds. Where you see the purple shades, these are the large hail that you see at the next level after that dark purple. The black shade that you see here is up to 2 inch, 1.5 inches, one down, 3/4, and then a half for that other purple. I don't want to sit and mark them. Here's a good example of why you got to be ready, folks. Look at this. Here is, okay, they've reissued for this area. Now, they've reissued. Right along the Sims-Milford area, you'll see there's a red bar that just went up, and here's why. All of a sudden, this portion of the storm started to show serious rotational properties again, and once again, we're seeing wind gusts to 70 miles an hour. Where is that located? Let's show you right now in Street Spot. Mount Repose, right there at Buckwheat Road, down by Day Heights and Eleanor, State Route 131, and over by Woodville Pike. Now, this is moving off to the east. You folks in Ashdale, Belfast, right by State Route 132 and Cedarsville Road. So that's going to head toward you and start moving off toward Newtonsville. So all of you folks, while you're not technically, well, there you are. They've extended the warning now. Good for them. Okay, so the National Weather Service has extended and moves a new tornado warning. Now it's located from Newtonsville, stretching to Batavia, Williamsburg, Fayetteville, and Mount Orab in Brown County. Welcome to the party, folks. I know it's one you didn't want to attend. Let's bring you down in through, and there's a new warning down here as well. Tornado warning showing from a portion of Clermont County, the southern portion of Campbell County, down through Kenton County, down through Pendleton County, and over now to Bracken County. So let me bring this out so that you can get a better sense of it for those of you who are watching us online. And again, if you are now in the path of these storms, and I say that to you because you folks who are around Georgetown, Maysville, West Union, Hillsborough, up through Wilmington, chances are these storms are going to stay severe. Now's your time to think about WCPO.com/live or download our app. You can watch us either way. Now, back to business. You'll see the red bars flashing. Right now, essentially almost, and this is really unusual, almost all of Clermont County under a tornado warning. So everybody, if you are in Clermont County, go to your basement now. Go to the interior of your house. And if you are new to the area, that means this. If you don't have a basement, go to an interior, probably bathroom's your best choice. Secondarily is going to be a closet. You want to put essentially as many walls from the exterior away from you. So go to the middle of your house and find a place there right now, because this line is, in fact, almost intensifying. We're starting to see a lineup of 60 to 70 mile an hour wind gusts all across this line with rotational properties, and that's why the tornado warnings are out right at present. So again, now to update, you folks in the Panhandle of Brown County should be in your tornado safe place. I know it's not even raining. Take a laptop. Put your television loud if you don't have one. Take your phone downstairs, and you still have time to even download our app from the App Store. But that line is heading for you. Bethel, same idea. Felicity, got it. Brooksville, Falmouth, Butler. Now, we're talking about folks who are threatened right now. New Richmond down to Dry Ridge. You are under the gun. Hopefully you're in your tornado safe place, because as we look at it at present, we're talking about 60 to 70 mile an hour wind gusts that are setting up and down that line. There's a vivid example of what we're talking about, nearly stretching from Dry Ridge to New Richmond, off and on that line, 60 to 70. Oh, goodness, it's even growing if you look at it now. We just got that update. If you're watching in another spot, you'll see what's happened. That line now is almost, well, let's see, I'm just curious how long it is, of 60 mile an hour winds. You're talking about 15 miles as the crow flies to the southwest. Warnings are coming out all across the area. If you have thunderstorms, chances are they are severe, meaning you have 60 mile an hour wind gusts or more. I'm focusing because these are all tornado warnings. We've got tornado warnings out now until 11:30, so we'll be in continuous coverage here, and we'll be adding in when we find out other reports from our news team, and Tanya will jump in when she has other information to deliver. But we are going to be in continuous coverage because of this situation, and you'll see what's happened. We have nearly an unbroken area of a tornado warning all across this line that's stretching from the top of Clermont County down through northern Kentucky. I don't know in 15 years that I've seen that there's been a tornado line that's 55 miles long as the crow flies. You have an update?
Based on what you just said, this seems so trivial, but there are 28,000 Duke Energy customers now without power. This is widespread, so anyone who has power still, text your friends, whatever. Tell them to download our app or go to WCPO.com on their phones so that they can keep track of what's happening. As Steve has said over and over, no joke, please do this for your family and friends.
Yeah, good idea and a good reminder. Here's a good reason why all the power's out. In just the box that you see with this line, you'll notice up in the corner 660 plus lightning strikes. I mean, that's pretty intense, folks. And across certain areas here, look at this area. We got another warning coming out. Let me update you with all the severe thunderstorm warnings here in a second. Since I've got all my folks hopefully in the basement, I want to tell the rest of you what's going on. Look at this area here. I mean, look at this area here. We're talking about a severe thunderstorm warned area with 400 lightning strikes. And just from Goshen up to Clarksville, Butlerville, Midland, 280. I mean, we're talking about definitely power going out for you folks who are in the line of these storms. Now, I'm going to turn back on the reflectivity, meaning how hard is it raining? Well, you can tell because we're all familiar with radar that red and that purple shade coming down in buckets. I'm not worried about any flooding situations. No one really is out or should be, especially within these warned areas. What I do want to do is let you know that the potential for other severe storms that could cause damage at your house are around the area right now. Okay, now, here's where we stand with all the severe thunderstorm warnings. Goodness gracious, great balls of fire. That entire line, if you think about it, we're talking about everything that is east of downtown Cincinnati, and actually downtown's included, down through Florence, down stretching through Owenston, everywhere you see the flashing polygons. And I realize not everybody can see this. Perhaps you folks are in your basement, but take my word for it. And for you folks who are watching, who are in the counties, that don't have any rain right now, that what would be east of greater Cincinnati, Georgetown, Brooksville, Maysville, West Union, Hillsborough is under the gun right now. You're going to see this, and it is going to take some power out. It'll likely cause some minor to maybe substantial damage. I also noticed they've extended the tornado warning to the south, so I want to go back and update folks who need to know about this. I'm going to take off the severe thunderstorm warnings. Essentially, if it's storming in your area, assume there are wind gusts to 60 miles an hour. Now, here's the new tornado warning. Oh, boy, this is a big one, too, folks. You'll notice it's extended out through what is, likely around Crittenden and stretching out through Brooksville. I'm going to show you the path of this storm and take everything off so that you can get a sense of how things are moving. I want to show you this, and then I'll do an ETA path to you so that you know how fast it's moving. This is 1 hour you're going to see. This is just 1 hour. Okay, so this is ripping at 50 and 60 miles an hour. As you look at that, I am just going to grab a little drink here because my throat's getting a little dry. So excuse me while I take a quick drink. Excuse me for gurgling there on camera there, but otherwise I'll really start coughing up a storm here. So there you go. There's that line that's really intense and that is essentially all severe and tornadic in some locations. Now, what concerns me is what's happening down here heading to you folks in Falmouth. Don't wait. Go to your basement. Go to your basement. From what I can tell here on the reflectivity, we're looking at a potential hook echo right here, which is right around the Goforth area. McNay Road, Ballinger Road, approaching Haze and Falmouth. Let me take a look under the storm and see if I can see anything. Looks like that would be about the spot. I don't have enough data to make sure of that. But it does appear it might be at that location from what I can determine and what I can see in the data that I have available to me. Now, as we look at it, that's what's going to be heading off in that direction. Let me see if we can get a couple of ETA markers here right at present.
I just got a text. Let me just give you a break so you can get another drink of water for a second.
Yeah.
I just got a text from Tom McKee, one of our senior reporters who retired earlier in the last year. He says power's out in the Kenwood, Madeira area, 2,800 customers there. By the way, the ETA to get that back on is sometime at 4:45 in the morning tomorrow. So keep in mind, folks, as I said, call friends, call neighbors, call whoever you can. Let them know that how they can, in case they don't know, how they can keep watching this, because this storm, as you're seeing, is very, very fast. It is moving quickly, and Steve is keeping up as fast as he can. I'll also tell you, I'm getting texts you cannot believe from people saying there is damage all over Fairfield. Big, giant trees down in Pleasant Ridge, Campbell County. They're seeing trees and power lines down. It will not shock us to see a lot of damage from this at all. So keep that in mind, and send us stuff on Twitter. Just send it to @WCPO, and we will find it. Or you can send it to me at Tanya York, at Steve at Cincy WXman. Wixman, and we will get these videos and pictures on as fast as we can.
Tanya, thank you for the update. It did give me a chance just to catch up here and get a swallow. So this is important for you folks in the Falmouth area. It appears to me that that is a hook echo by all accounts, which means there could very well be a funnel cloud in this location. We're talking at a possibility of the Goforth area approaching Haze and Falmouth. And I would say there is right now a growing likelihood of at least a funnel cloud or perhaps more around this area. And this is why the National Weather Service has you folks under a tornado warning. Everybody, please, across, let's see, Haze, Four Oaks, Falmouth, Morgan, McKinney'sburg, Browning Corner, Bachelor's Rest, Catawba, all around this area. And Falmouth, of course, if you have heard your name, please go to your basement, go to the inner portion of your home, a bathroom or a closet. I believe this is a very threatening situation right now. This is right located in the Haze area. Haze Station Road, Highway 330 West. That only means something to those folks in Falmouth, Haze, and Four Oaks and the area surrounding it. But that's a approximately what looks like some circulation. You'll notice what we call it's called a hook echo because of that actual hook looking. There is a lot of circulation around here in that area right at this present time. My guess is there's some very strong circulation in there. And there is actively what we sometimes see winds going away and toward the radar bumped up against each other. So if you were to take a pen and put it in your hand and rub it back and forth, you'd get the rotation. And it looks and it appears to me right in that area of Haze and Four Oaks, that's exactly where that rotation is happening. Exactly here where some of the winds are heading this way, and by Four Oaks the winds are heading this way. And we're talking about a scant 2 miles across that area. Confirmed sighting. Clermont officials of a funnel cloud, State Route 222. That was at 10:57, 3 minutes ago. All right, I will update you across that area now. Thank you, Tanya. Okay, across, where was it again, Tanya, exactly?
Say State Route 222 by near 222. Clermont officials say that's that's all the information I have.
Okay. Okay, let's see if we can get a little bit more information here. Hold on just a second. See if we've got a new tornado warning up by Blanchester as well. So let's update you as to where we stand. I'm going to tell you all of the towns where you should be in your basement. Bethel, New Richmond, Felicity, Butler, Falmouth, Brooksville, Dry Ridge. You all should be in your basement. You folks across the Panhandle of Brown County. And now there's a new tornado warning that includes Midland and into Highland County. In the rural section of Highland County, we're talking by Route 50, stretching out Route 50 from Fayetteville to Hillsborough. If you live in that area, you are in a tornado warning, and that tornado warning is out until 11:30. So we have got ourselves quite an evening and a night here, folks. Let's run down where we stand right now for everybody who's watching and wondering what's going on. We have got ourselves some very active weather stretching across all of the red polygons that you see. We've been in continuous coverage because these are active tornado warnings. Look at how big the warnings are and how much room and area and depth they cover. We're talking this one from Clermont County down through Pendleton County, almost 31 miles long, and it continues to press across this area. We've talked about where the warnings are. Let's talk about where the warnings are going. Brooksville, Felicity, Augusta, Georgetown, Mount Orab, Maurystown, New Market. You folks in Hillsborough, in the more populated area of Highland County, get ready for this storm. Likely it's heading right for you. And in fact, you folks in Fayetteville, I want to show you what it looks like to have rotation over the top of your area, and in Blanchester. You'll remember I talked about how winds are going toward and away from the radar. Look how strong they are going, and they are right next to each other here. There is no question, and here's the Blanchester area that we talked about, and this is likely right where that rotation of a funnel cloud was most likely spotted, right around the Curlis Road area. Now, as it moves, it's moving off to the east. It's just updated for us. You folks in St. Martin and Westboro and Midland area, you're all in the path of these potential tornadoes. Okay, I've got an update. We have evidence of a tornado on the ground in northern Brown County. This is the one we're talking about, moving western Highland County. This is right at 11 o'clock. This is the area I just circled for you. This was the area that became all too obvious from the radar and our velocity here. We're talking about an area right by the Fayetteville area just outside to the east, right by Snow Hill Road. We have evidence of a tornado on the ground, and this is likely the spot just south of St. Martin. You folks in Dodsonville and stretching out by anyone who's in the rural area by Brown Road, Webertown, all in Highland County. This potential tornado or tornado, according to the National Weather Service, is heading for you. You are now just been extended into the tornado warning. They've extended it outward across that area. You can almost see that twisting nature to the winds if you consider this. And this other area I'm concerned with just south of Midland as well. I want to look on a broader area because of the other warnings. And yeah, these areas too look like they're potential funnel clouds right and around here too. Let's see where it is. Johnsville on the way to Wolcott and Bladeston and Gertrude, all small towns. Folks, take your basement or your tornado safe place. The other locations, I lost it. Doggone, no, there it is. Okay, right here, Browning Corner. This area likely is also showing what likely could it be at least a funnel cloud or perhaps even more. Okay, so the way it stands is we've got some very strong twisting winds, and you can see them here now. And I'm going to give you some ETA updates in a moment, but you see these little spikes here. I need them to come up to date. The problem becomes is they're a little behind. There's so much action, and my data that I would give you would be off, and that wouldn't be any good. So let's talk about what we're seeing here on radar. Right here, you'll notice we're in this tornado warned area. If you know folks or friends or relatives who are on the east side of that area, call them. Let them know this is on the way. It's moving off to the east. And let me check just how fast here. Hold on, looking it up. All right, give me 1 second. Take me a second just to kind of get in here for a minute. Ready. And bring this up to date. It's moving. There's the tornado warning across the air. And it looks like we've got an update. It's moving at 40 and 50 miles an hour. So I'm going to do an update for you. Looks like we have the tornado warning extended into Adams County now, and also in through Mason County. That is the latest. That is new. So what's happening here is, let me draw this on the map for our friends who are off to the east of this line. This line that you see from Wilmington stretching down and across into northern Kentucky, this is essentially tornadic line, and it's going to continue to push off to the east, southeast at about 40 and 50 miles an hour. So if you were on the east side of this line, just about everybody is there. From Hillsborough to about West Union, you're under a tornado warning, or I would think you will be. Likely this is not going to fade, not the way things have been going with this particular line. So assume that you will shortly be going into your tornado safe location. Now, I know in parts of Brown and Adams and in through Bracken and Mason County, it's not even raining. But you will see these strong storms head your way. We're talking about, got another warning coming out. Let me just check what it is here. Tornado possible. And this is the area, yeah, these three bumps here that we're seeing. There's actually, yeah, this one is the most concerning that's up here, up at the head of the Panhandle moving into Highland County. I want to let you folks know, right in that area, this is high probability. There is a tornado still on the ground up here, right around Ferristown, St. Martin, Webertown, Lynchburg, Dodsonville, Clocks Crossing, Russell, Willetsville, Fairview. You folks all need to be in your safe location up toward Westboro and Midland and Jonesboro. This circulation is rather extensive. I want to show you something. We rarely see this in this part of the world, but we likely have a tornado on the ground right around Sycamore Road, right out by Township Highway 226. Looks like State Route 123, County Road 312, County Highway 448. That area almost stretching up to Midland, because what's going on is we're getting very strong winds twisting around in that location. And in fact, we're almost seeing the circulation there in its entirety. If you look at this and you can see it, that all of these wind gusts are heading away, all of these wind gusts are heading toward the radar. And you'll see them from Ferristown to Midland, and you see almost a curvature to this green shade here like this. And you can see there's very strong rotation likely right around Clocks Crossing and Webertown. Now, you folks need all to be in your tornado-safe location. This is moving toward Martinsville, New Vienna, and Leesburg. Take action now. It won't cost you. Do it. You are outside the tornado warning. It's worth it from what I can see on the radar. Now, there are a couple other concerning areas. This one here north of Georgetown by White Oak Valley, East Walsburg by West Arnhem. You folks should consider making sure you're in your tornado-safe location. This is a tornado-warned area. Now, also, here along this line, you'll see it stretching right along Rock Springs, Walcott, Bladestown, Gertrude. This area as well looks to be a high rotation area. You are under a tornado warning. Another area as well here, stretching down toward Petra. It looks like Powersville, also Hitville, Bridgeville. Stonewall is outside the warning, but you'll likely be included here shortly. Another warning also is set up. Let's see, it's flashing right out by Mount Olivet. You folks don't even have any rain happening by you, but you're under the warning because they assume this line that you see here now is heading for you. Sure, jump in, T.
I just want to let folks know, because I know we're not out and running around right now, but just FYI, we are hearing over scanners. This is scanner traffic that we're getting. That in Clermont County, there are trees down on Route 133 at Bishop. It's just blocking access. We have to confirm this still, but in case that's something in your area and you need to know that, we are telling you this because it may be blocking road access, the ability to drive. I'm sorry, say that again, guys. And an update on the amount of homes without power, 55,000 at this time. So we are talking about widespread issues all over. As I've mentioned before, call or text your friends if they're not aware of what's going on, so you can make them aware to turn on go on our website or get our app going so that they can help them. Steve, I know you have so much to do. I just wanted to break in with that real quick.
No, I'm glad you did. It gives me a second, too, to just slurp down a little something to drink. We've got another active warning just being issued. Let me just see if I can grab. Okay, this is canceling some warnings, and I think I'm going to clear some folks here, too. Now, I know we have some active tornado warnings, and everybody's stretching from southern Clinton County, the eastern third of Highland. And frankly, you folks in Hillsborough, just go ahead to your tornado-safe place. Just do it now, because I think that's the wise choice given what I'm seeing on radar. Stretching down through all of Brown County. Now, all of Brown County virtually under a tornado warning, and virtually all of Mason and Bracken and Robertson County all under a tornado warning. The line that you see here. Now, for everybody else, if you're watching and you're in the more populated area around greater Cincinnati, you'll see what's going on. You are seeing intense rain. You are also seeing sporadic lightning. But the line of storms, the severe line, has pushed through. Now, that doesn't mean we couldn't see an isolated storm turn severe. However, if you are watching right now and you're around greater Cincinnati, out through the 275 belt or right around that area, you likely are under strong thunderstorms, but not severe. We aren't seeing any severe weather for Westchester and White Oak and Cincinnati and Florence and Aurora and Batavia and up through Oxford and Batesville and over by Lebanon, Westchester. Now, those areas, you could still see a storm flare up and become severe. But the line that is really most devastating, the one that has put out a lot of power, that has obviously caused damage across the region, that we're going to find out is likely caused some tornadoes, is now stretching across to some of our eastern neighbors. And as we look at it, let me recap where we stand, because as I look at this, I am, the only thing I can say is I'm highly concerned for the folks that are up this way that we're looking at right now. We're looking at a pure donut. We don't see this very often, and this area is rather extensive. It is called a bounded weak echo region to that magnitude. There is so much rotation stretching from Martinsville down through about Route 50. It is really causing a giant centrifuge, and the strongest rain is wrapping around. And within it, it is so strong and the winds are so powerful, it actually creates that mixer effect where there's lighter, or you can see down through, so to speak. There's no question in my mind, there's there's probably some kind of funnel cloud or worse by around Lynchburg and Allensburg. I know all you folks have already been smart enough to take your tornado safe locations. I'm waiting for the National Weather Service to issue a tornado warning for Hillsborough. That will likely come momentarily. But as I say for you folks, go ahead. All right, there is a new updates tornado warning. I'm catching it here, continues Bracken. Okay, it's just changed the warning a little bit for some areas. This is just shifting eastward. You folks in Clermont County, you are now behind that severe line. Okay, just that's till 11:45. That's a severe thunderstorm warning. If you've got thunderstorms now from Clinton County, Brown, Highland, down through Brown, down through Mason and Bracken County, excuse me, not Mason, but Bracken County, you are likely under a severe thunderstorm warning if you're not already under this 3 tornado warnings. Now, a lot of circulation, as I mentioned there. I'm seeing less circulation for you folks in the panhandle of Brown County. I'll be interested to see if that warning continues from Fayetteville down to Mount Orab. It's quite possible that could be allowed to expire. It is up at 11:15 right now. Let's see if that is moved. I would think that's going to be allowed to be expired. Now, as we stand right at the moment, there are folks who are going to see some severe weather. We are seeing some very strong winds with some twisting winds from Georgetown down through Brooksville. We are seeing what is likely a very strong, dangerous twisting winds, and at last report we did have a tornado on the ground when it was in Brown County in the Panhandle. So as you're looking at it, we're talking about an area that was just outside of Fayetteville or around that general area. Now that donut, that circulation has moved into the area which would be northwest of Hillsborough. Now, I want to show you how this is moving for you folks in that region, because anybody in that area should be in their tornado safe place as I see it. So that includes Leesburg and Hillsborough. There's a lot of dangerous twisting winds in that area. The good news is you folks now in Brown County are clear. I was mentioning that a few moments ago. Now, let's show you what's happening as we look at it. I'm going to set this to, let's say, 30 minutes. And this is the last 30 minutes. I know it's tough to see because it's so tight. I got to push it out a little bit for you folks so you'll see it better. Okay, there's a general push east, but also northeast if you look at it. That storm and storms like this that are twisting generally move from southwest to northeast. Not always, but most of the time. Meaning that this storm, for you folks in and around the Leesburg area, you could very well be in the direct path of this storm as it continues to move. As we look at the general movement of the storm, let's get a little idea of this section of the storm. You're looking at Hillsborough at 11:39, but I'm more concerned, and you'll see that the radar and some of these what we call skits or analyzations. Here's Leesburg for this part of the storm. That's the back side, though, and the more potent side is up already in front of it. 11:17, 37. This is the area of the storm. This is going to get analyzed in a minute. Some of these skits are National Weather Service skits. We put them all on, as well as our own Doppler. I think they're going to move one that's down right about here shortly. This looks to be the circulation area. It looks to be including Martinsville, Farmers, Jonesboro, Willetsville. So it's all heading up through this area and by New Vienna, and then eventually Leesburg. Okay? All right. So let's see where we stand here. You'll notice that there's another line that is included as a tornado warning stretching across from what is about mid-Brown County by approaching Winchester. You folks in the Winchester area, find your tornado safe place. You folks in Ripley, find your tornado safe place. As we stretch down through all of Mason County, you need to get ready for this storm heading to you. In fact, it looks like the storm, and you'll see this has got a southwest-northeast tilt. This is probably some of the rotation that we were looking at a little earlier. And this is you'll see CTVS, that's an indication for tornadic storm. So there is a lot of rotation in this storm. Now, so what we've got is this making it to you in Maysville, according to our Doppler at 11:41. So you're, what, 22 minutes away? Is that right? 23 minutes away. Let's see, Brooksville, you're in the thick of things now. So this storm is moving in that direction, Maysville. Go to your tornado safe place now. Go now. Okay, so with that said, let's also take a look at the storms up through that Hillsborough area. Still waiting for them. I sure would like to see this get extended a little bit. You'll notice they have now moved the tornado warning over that area that we were looking at. So all of you folks that I mentioned once before across Highland and in through Clermont, Clinton County, not Clermont, Clinton County, Clinton and Highland County. Go into your tornado safe place. All would be a good idea. Now, for everybody else who's watching, and I know a lot of folks are, you'll see across the tri-state, boy, there is a lot of rain. It is either moderate to heavy to torrential. Think about what you look at on a radar. We're talking about the upper bands here. You don't see a lot of green, right? So as a result, this rain is really coming down. So there are likely some roads that are probably at least minorly getting flooded, but that's hardly a concern given the fact that everybody is at home. That's at least one valuable thing that's happening here tonight. Okay, so I'm getting an update here from the Weather Service. They're continuing this warning now through 11:30. That you see here that's in Highland and also in Clinton County. Let's get a little quick update and see what they, if there is any other
Steve,
information.
while you're doing that, while you're looking up that, take a second, look that up. Let me just go over a couple things. Folks, we are now up to...
Tanya, let me just mention this because
sure.
I did get an update. The Weather Service is saying at 10:57, so that was about 30 minutes ago, that tornado-warned area was producing both tornadoes, plural, and extensive straight-line wind damage. Okay? So that was 10:57. But that area, and I'll get to you just in 1 second, Tanya, I want to mention that because I am greatly concerned about this particular area. This is where you need to be in your tornado-safe location. Anybody around the Highland County area or Clinton County from Martinsville over to Leesburg, also Hillsborough. Tanya, an update.
Just giving you an update right now. 62,000 people without power. We have reports of damage and hail. We also know that Boone and Campbell counties have told our Tyson Thorpe that they have reports of damage across those counties. Brown County is not, dispatch says they don't have anything about tornadoes yet, but they do have damage of trees down and that type of thing. There is a tree down across Kenwood Road in Madeira that our Craig McKee has been sending into us. I'm not sure if that's entirely blocking traffic, but it seems to be a pretty good one. So I'm just trying to let you know, folks, there is sincere damage across our area. We'll keep updating that when we get more information for you.
This is unbelievable, Tanya. Look, you've been around here longer than I have. I want to ask you: have you seen?
No, this is huge.
Look at this rotation that's happening on the radar right there in that same area we're talking about. You can see the rotation of the radar.
It looks like a hurricane.
That's very interesting. That's, you know, you can see a rotation similar to that. In fact, you'll notice as I stop this, the most intense part of that radar nearly is locking in this entire area. I'll draw it around for those of you maybe right through here. This is greatly concerning. This is a huge, huge circulation, and we're going to hear about some damage across that area. I'm hoping that it missed any small towns and it stayed in the rural portion of the counties because that is more highly rural. You'll notice as I dive down in there, there are small towns, though, from Lynchburg to Willitsville, across Hillsborough. This is the region. Look at this. You can see it on the radar, how there's almost a circle right here. You just don't see that, folks. You just don't see that. And I'm going to tell you, I haven't seen it unless I see radar that's in the middle of the country out through Tornado Alley. Now, as we look down here, I want to show you this incredible line that's also, and I'm going to put the warnings back on. Here's what we're looking at. In fact, now this is what we're talking about. There's a new tornado warning up through that area. I want to just update you. Now it's official. It's what I said to you 20 minutes ago, that this was going to get extended. And now Hillsborough through Leesburg, all through Highland County, all under a tornado warning, okay? So essentially, if you are north of New Market, Marshall, you're going to see some real strong winds, even though you're not in the tornado warning. There's some very strong, likely straight line winds that are going to come through there. Let's just take a look at what we can find underneath there right at the moment, right as quick gusts. There's some 60 and 70 mile wind gusts. Some of this hail is on the larger side that's up through Clinton County. This is smaller size hail. This actually does happen because the rotation is so strong in that area. You don't often see, unless their storms begin to tower, and we don't get that here, bigger size hail. You sometimes get that giant hail in the middle of the country because we're talking about 50, 60,000 feet thunderstorms, and we're not seeing that here. I could go in and check what size the thunderstorms are, but it's hardly worth the time and effort. More importantly is to tell you folks across that area where you see these red flashing polygons. Now, folks who live in that area, here's what happens at this point in juncture, okay? Chillicothe over to Jeffersonville, out by Clarksburg and Frankfort. They're out of our area. These folks don't even watch us, but I'll bet you have friends or relatives out that way. Give them a call and let them know this is on the way. This is oh, goodness gracious. Okay, I'm glad I went into this mode. You folks in Maysville, if you have waited to get into your basement, please do it at this very moment, at this exact time. There are gusts now to 80 miles an hour, and they're gusts to 70 on the outside of this band, and it's a rotational band. It's likely some kind of funnel cloud that's moving toward you right now. Let's see if there's analyzation going on. There isn't. Let me go under the storm, see if I can see it in better form or fashion. It looks like it... the rotation is right around the Moranburg and Huntington Park area. I can give you Historia roughly in that area. That's what I would say. But we are seeing some severe wind gusts just, let's mark it for you, 7 miles away. Okay, and this band that you're seeing, even within this portion here, that's stretching 22 miles across the county, stretching up through Brown County. There's 60-mile wind gusts all across there. There's going to be damage all across here, and frankly, I only hope, here it comes, Maysville in the basement, into the safe location. This is a significant and dangerous storm approaching you right now. There will be damage with this storm as it moves across the Maysville area. This is why it's tornado warned. This is why it's cutting across there. For you folks who are in that area, let me show you where it is. It's right by Huntington Park. Excuse me, not show you, because unless you're watching on the app or at WCPO.com, you can go to /live, WCPO.com/live, and you can watch us there. Get into a safe location, as well as in Clayton, and Paradise Hills, and Bradysville, and Ellsbury. Most importantly now, let's just, I want to walk this back just a bit so I can see how it's moving. See, it's moving, and yeah, okay, it's coming down in intensity a little bit. Okay, you'll see the yellow is starting to, and it's moving right to Ellsbury. You folks in Maysville, you're going to see strong winds, but the strongest winds are going to move right through Ellsbury. And so right there, and then it's going to head toward what is Bradysville and Paradise Hills. I know they're small towns. Folks live there, though, and please stay safe. There's some very strong winds showing up through Highland County. I'm noticing again here, too. Looks like 60-mile-an-hour gust right on 73 by State Route, as I mentioned, 73 and County Highway 11. It is, let's see, heading toward Leesburg, folks. You are going to get those very strong winds, as well as you'll notice the hail that's involved. There's the very strong winds moving into Maysville. This line of storms, these tornado-warned areas, are going to continue to move eastward. They're moving at about 50 miles an hour. So let's give you a little ETA as to what we're talking about with these storms and the line where they stand. For folks, wow, how about this? There's that circulation. Boy, look at that, huh? I got to tell you, they're going to do studies on this. Look at this. Look at that very heavy band. of rain just wrapping around. And this is a bounded weak echo region. In other words, the echoes, that's the region, is inside here. And that area has got some very strong circulation. And the center of that circulation at present is pretty obvious, and it wouldn't surprise me if perhaps there's a tornado on the ground, or at least a very noticeable funnel cloud right around that area I was mentioning before by State Route 73 and County Highway 11. We would be talking about moving into Samantha and then moving through Leesburg and Bridges next. So it will be moving, if it's moving in a 50-mile-an-hour fashion here, I'm not even going to be able to get it on the screen. Let's see here. And let's see, 1140. It's going to be faster than that because I couldn't even get it on the screen. So you figure it's going to be there in the next, I would say, 3 to 5 minutes for Leesburg, from what I could tell there on that band. There is some significant rotation here, folks. We don't generally see things like that. Right at the present time, I hope everybody is in their tornado safe location, and you folks especially in the Samantha area, all across there. Bridges, very, very important. You can hear by the tone of my voice I'm a little concerned about that area, and frankly I should be. Okay, other areas to be concerned with right around that corner now of Brown and Adams County. It's a highly rural little corner there, so that's good news, and then it's going to start skipping in and out of our area and over and across into eastern Kentucky. Now, we're looking at these warnings. Let's just time them out for you. I want to go back to reflectivity, and you can see the line of storms much better. Let's see where the lightning is located. All right, we're now seeing these storms moving out of the county of Highland, but these are all, and here's the thing about this, folks. I have there's a good look at it for everybody else. And let me just update everybody else. It's probably good to do a reset at this juncture. And as you look at it, here's where we stand. Okay. So the most severe storms, you'll notice, are now east of what is the Panhandle of Brown County, stretching down through Clermont, over down through Grant and Pendleton County and Owen County. Now, that's not to say there's not some thunderstorms around, but they are not severe. They could turn severe, but the line of severe weather is now past you. So for the greater Cincinnati area, we're talking about the severe threat, I won't say is over, but is likely limited at this juncture. But for anybody who is obviously in that area that you see flashing, for our friends who are not under warnings, who are still following this coverage because of friends or relatives or interest, we're talking about still a lot of areas under tornado warnings or severe thunderstorm warnings. Now, I'm going to take the severe thunderstorm warnings off and see where we stand with the tornadic warnings. Here's where we are. It is now going to be affecting you folks in Adams County. You haven't had your share yet. It is now heading to you. Manchester, West Unions, and let's put Peebles on the map. This storm is now passing Winchester, but you folks are still somewhat under the gun. Peebles, you're about to get whacked. West Union, Manchester, there's a lot of rotation within that storm by you. You should be in your tornado safe place. Peebles, West Union, Manchester, Maysville, you're already there and need to stay there. Now, as we look at our friends who are up here in Highland County, we now see that giant rotation moving through the county in the northern half, let's say northeastern portion from Hillsborough up to Leesburg. This rotation is by you now. There's a lot of very strong storms, winds is what I meant to say. We're seeing gusts to 60 and 70 miles an hour, as well as larger size hail. There's an inch mark right there for you, and you'll see a lot of lightning is off to the south and southeast. That'll be coming and whipping around you here shortly. Tornado possible down in through, as we were talking about in Adams County. I'm just trying to read these. I've got a report from 1040 coming from the emergency manager. Multiple reports of trees down in Clermont County in Loveland. So that's not surprising. given the fact that this storm, the one that has been most concerning, has been tornadic for quite some time. That is a powerful storm that is still in and around Highland County. What we're looking at is actually underneath the storm, and it gives me a chance to see where the strongest wind gusts are. And right at present time, as I mentioned, you folks in the Manchester area, you will likely see some 60 and 70 mile an hour wind gusts. Right at present, we're looking at 80 mile an hour wind gusts that could very well start pinwheeling up toward you. So as I say, be in your tornado safe location, West Union as well. As these warnings propagate, we will stay with time. Here's some good news. We're starting to see less in the way of rotation. Not that we can't get damaging winds, but obviously when we're talking about those dangerous twisting winds, there's more damage to be had. But we're seeing severe thunderstorm warnings more than tornadic warnings being issued by the National Weather Service. Hold on one second. Let me just grab a sip here. You got an update?
Well, I mean, we've got some wires arcing down on Boone Air Road in Florence. I mean, there's just widespread damage all over the place. We have one of our photographers, Maddie Schmidt, is down in Florence and just sent back some video. And, Steve, it's really interesting. It's midway up a telephone pole. It's snapped in half. And
wow.
It's on its side. So I don't know what that says. I mean, obviously, it could just be bursts of wind, but you know, obviously there's going to be a ton of problems with all of this tomorrow. Not that we needed more things to think about and in our world right now, but obviously we're going to have some more things to deal with in our communities.
Tanya, I'm going to tell you something. Tomorrow we're going to be talking about tornado damage across the area. I'd be shocked if we're not. And in fact, looking at this radar, for those of you who might be meteorologists or serious weather enthusiasts, let me just take you through what I'm seeing here and why I think the reason why the Weather Service has done a marvelous job on this. Take a look at this one section. This was back at 10:59, so it wasn't much longer ago. See these little hooks here? 1, 2, 3. Look at this area of rotation up in here. That's even stronger. Now watch as I continue and see them ripple across the area. You can see the turn of that radar in there. And then you can see that giant turning that happens. Remember, we were talking about damage in Loveland. Back here where Loveland is, let me just mark this off. Look at this area here, right through this region, okay? Just focus your eye on that and watch this. Watch this turn. See it turning? And then if you look along the line that's been moving, it's all been tornadic in several areas. This is really disturbing across the area. This is a major outbreak for us. Oh, goodness gracious. Yeah, that just took the tree down.
That's about a 8 foot around tree in Amberley Village, just snapped in half. I don't know if we can even, like,
hard to see how
you can't see it.
dry
I'm sorry. I'll try. I just tweeted it out.
Tough to see here.
So,
you wouldn't be able to zoom in on it. So, but this is where we stand right now, folks. I wanted to give you the reality of what we're seeing for your friends and why we have been in continuing coverage. This is almost as bad as we get it for around here. We'll see to what level it turns out tomorrow. But at the bottom line and where we stand right now, we're looking at still severe weather and tornadic weather stretching across the tri-state. We have one left tornado warning, so we're going to stay with this until that is done. Outside of our area, there's a tornado warning down to the south. This incredible rotation area that's still up here is still the concerning area that we've been focusing on because of the enormity of the size of the rotation. I'm hoping that at this juncture, a lot of this rotation is happening a little bit higher in the atmosphere, but likely not. It's probably heading, wow, you can see the inflow here and everything else. For those of you who know meteorology are probably saying, wow, too. You'll see there's a real inflow of air here and this wraparound back through here, and that's creating the rotation that's likely right about here. And now it's moving up through the county in Highland. Thankfully, Highland is a highly rural county. You'll notice that as I even dive in deeper here, there are small towns here. There are places like New Petersburg and Stringtown and East Monroe and Greenfield. I know you're in your tornado-safe locations. You're smart folks. You got in there, and that's a good thing because you're in store for a lot of very, very strong winds moving across your area and ripping around, looks like rotationally. That's why we continue to see a tornado warning across this area, and this is out until 11:45, so this has been extended. This was at first at 11:30, and now it's 11:45, and there's a good reason why. As you look at the larger part of the storms, bad news for the folks just outside of our area, but you'll see that that line of storms is now pushing out of our counties. There's still a tornado warning to the south, heading to about the Moorhead area if you've got friends or relatives there. You folks in Adams County, I haven't forgotten about you. Peebles, this is what I was talking about, an intense amount of lightning your way right now. Right in this screen, this field of view that you see, you'll notice up in the corner there's 625 strikes. In Adams County alone, I'll bring it down here, 330 strikes. And there's wind gusts to 60 and 70 miles an hour across your area in the Peebles region. Stay safe. Stay safe in Highland County. We are going to stay with this until 11:45, folks. And the reason why is for our friends who are around here. We've got to notify them to make sure that they know when it's going to be safe. And it ain't safe now. Wow. This is a look at the winds. And I don't even think you have to be a meteorologist to get this. If you just understand that winds are going away and toward the radar. So as you look at it, and these, you can see the rotation here of these winds, and that spot that's just to the southeast of Leesburg, and the general rotation around this area, this is what we're looking at. I'd be hard-pressed to think given what we're seeing, there isn't some type of funnel cloud or the potential for even a tornado on the ground. I'm afraid to say around the Bridges area. State Route 771, it looks like it's now pushing off to the northeast. It's moving up in through just, I would say, east and southeast of East Monroe. Leesburg, New Petersburg, you need to all be in your tornado-safe location. Greenfield as well. These are some very strong twisting winds. I know you're in your tornado-safe locations. Please stay in there now. Stay with us. We will let you know when you are clear, and you're clearly not. Across that area, there is some very strong twisting winds going on in that region. A good example of what we always watch for, and don't worry about this. This has something to do with the fact of our Wilmington radar. In fact, I'll just block it. So forget that out of your mind. You'll see how these different winds going in different directions are so tight. Look at the rest of the field across the tri-state. Do you see all the wind direction almost going in one way, all in red, in other words? Then take a look over here where that line is crossing Adams County and almost out of here. You'll notice how the winds again are going in two different directions very close to the storm. Now these aren't as strong, so we're creating certain rotation in the upper atmosphere, and that's why it's creating these very strong storms, but it's not so violent that's going on. Oh, good news. Good news for you folks. It looks like this tornado warning is going to expire. But I'm going to tell you something. You're going to see this red box pop off here. But given what I'm seeing on this radar, you folks in Greenfield, you folks in New Petersburg and East Monroe, hang tight. Hang tight here. I think this warning is going to expire in 3 minutes here coming up, or shortly. I'm seeing a weather service saying they're expiring the tornado for Highland County. Yep. But I still think that there's probably some very dangerous winds in that area for you folks, so I would take it that you still are under the gun. For everybody else, while we just wait these 2 or 3 minutes for this warning to expire, let me give you the update, because I know a lot of folks are probably wondering, is there any more severe weather to be had? Well, you can see by what's going on right now that we still have a flashing polygon on the screen over here in Highland County. Otherwise, and hold on one second, let me just make sure I'm right on this, severe thunderstorm warnings. Yeah, there are some severe thunderstorm warnings still showing up. These are still across a portion of Adams County, okay, and stretching up across Highland, but we've talked about that. So for you folks in Adams County, West Union, Peebles, you are under a severe thunderstorm warning. This is going to be out until 12:45, but I'm going to tell you, while that's the case, this warning is going to be over before then for you. For the greater Cincinnati area, thunderstorms are around, and mostly to northern Kentucky. Just you'll see the lightning. It's here and there, and you'll see a little bit here and there by Westchester or anywhere else. But we are pretty much done for the night. And obviously, you folks you see back across southeast Indiana and portions of Butler County, and really almost really the west side, I can clear you there too. If you're certainly west of 275, I would say that you're fine. Hold on one second. Tornado warning for Adams, Scioto. Okay, so now they're seeing some rotation back in this storm. Here's the good news for you folks in Adams County. This is going to cut across that incredibly rural area that only includes Squirreltown and Sunshine. But for those two towns, you are now in a tornado warning. Vanceburg is a fairly well-known town across Kentucky, as you may well know. I am not going to start forecasting for things outside of our area, but Stout, Squirreltown, Sunshine, these folks live there. And right now in that Stout area, that's probably where some of that rotation is happening. Let me just check underneath the radar, and it sure is. There's the high winds right down to the southwest. And those winds are heading to you, and they're at 80 miles an hour, and they're twisting. They are heading for you, Stout and Squirreltown. I want to let you know that that's happening there while I talk to the rest of the tri-state. That is heading in your direction. Otherwise, these storms. Now, you folks across Highland County, you are not quite done. There's still wind gusts to 60 miles an hour on the other side of Hillsborough. But you'll notice across the tri-state, we are not seeing any pink, any red shades, any yellow, except where we were just talking about down there and across northern Kentucky and a portion of our viewing area. So as we look at the reflectivity, we're still seeing intense rain in a lot of areas across Boone, Kenton, Campbell County, across downtown a little bit, and certainly in Clermont. And then you'll see everywhere else in where it's orange and red, stretching up by Warren County and Clinton and Highland and Brown and certainly in Adams. And then still approaching Mason, in Bracken, in Pendleton, in Grant, and stretching across Owen. So there's going to be a lot of rain. But right now you have a chance of severe thunderstorms, but the severe weather for the most part is passing by. For folks who are on the west side of Cincinnati, you'll notice from White Oak and then stretching over to southeast Indiana in Lawrenceburg, the rain is ending and your night is done. I hope you didn't have any damage. A lot of folks are going to turn out to have plenty. This is maybe one of those times. Start thinking about checking your neighbors. Check in with folks who are seniors nearby. Make sure they're okay, because this is there's going to be a lot of problems across the area. As you do that, be careful of power lines down. Assume they are hot. I know a lot of folks know that, but it's worth reminding for anybody who has not gone through severe weather. I ran into a couple of folks recently who we were talking about severe weather, and they came from a portion of the country in the Northeast where they don't have this kind of continuous and widespread severe weather, whereas many of you who have lived here for a while know how this can go. Still hanging in there because of this tornado warning across that area. At this point and at this juncture, we're at 11:47. We've got nothing but information for you. If you're watching, there's a good reason. A 71-mile-an-hour wind gust, in fact, just coming in from the Fleming-Mason Airport in Mason County. So that area that's moving across Adams County was producing 70-mile-an-hour wind gusts. We just saw gusts to 80 on our 9 first warning Doppler. So as we go under the storm again, we might as well stick with this to let these good folks know what's going on. There are 70-mile-an-hour winds that are heading right for you in the small towns across that region. Once this moves through, we are going to call it a night. And say a prayer for folks who have gone through some of these areas that we mentioned. This is going to turn out to be one of, I'm afraid, one of our more notable severe weather outbreaks that we've seen in some time. And as we just take things back again to show you the radar, you'll notice as we kind of wait out the next just few minutes, you'll see how this storm started. It's an interesting structure if you think about it. It started back here. As you look at the time, it's 9:59. You'll see it back up here in the corner. We started with some severe thunderstorm warnings. And you'll also notice in the interesting thing about propagation, these winds came out of these storms, and it created a whole nother arm of thunderstorms that were severe, that moved up in and ahead of the main line that turned tornadic essentially all across that region. And the entire line at one point, wow, just a lot of just rotation across that line as it continued to move with all those red bars that you see and all of the heavy rain that's still falling on many folks here in the tri-state. We've just got a couple of minutes left on this warning, so I'm going to hang in here, and then we'll return to programming because, quite frankly, we've covered Nightline rather extensively, and that way we'll get off in time for Kimmel, for those of you who want to make sure you watch that. So, again, for you folks in and around this region, you are under a tornado warning here for the next few minutes. You'll notice the intense lightning here. We're talking about Squirrel Town. Just, it's popping all over the place there. You'll notice there's about 100 lightning strikes in this region that you see on the screen. Sunshine, Stout, Squirrel Town, Pink. You folks all should be in your tornado safe location. If you've got friends or relatives over in Scioto County, and a lot of folks do, especially across Brown, Adams, and Mason County, give them a call. This line of severe storms and likely tornadic storms will be heading what looks like potentially towards, in fact, looking closely, it does appear they're under a severe thunderstorm warning or a tornado warning as far north as Portsmouth. Okay. So I think we've done what we can here tonight. Tanya, you got any final words or any updates before we kind of wrap this up?
As you know, we have had multiple reports of, Duke Energy has about, I think it was, we were up to about 80,000 homes without any power. So as you mentioned, thank goodness it's relatively warm out right now, but do be careful, and some of this might not get brought back online for quite some time, so do check in with some other folks. We have some video and some pictures we could show you real quickly before we sign off here, if you want to do that.
Let's do that.
Okay,
let's do that. I'll let the guys. Okay, good.
This is Price Hill. You can hear those sirens, and so this was probably at least an hour ago when that tornado warning first started, and you see the thunder in the distance there.
I will bet you that if folks go to @Cincy WXman, and Tanya, tell them your Twitter handle.
Mine is just my name, @Tanya O'Rourke. Tanya is TANYA, by the way.
Okay.
But
I'll bet you there are a lot of folks
there
who have tweeted at us with pictures and damage that unfortunately are going to be significant.
And Craig McKee shot that. That's Kenwood Road in Madeira. And so you see there's debris all across. He said it's a tree down, I believe, but that's the debris, it looks like, across
It looks like,
that
see
road.
That tree, and I'm making a supposition, but it looks like that tree's been stripped almost.
It does look like it's been stripped, and
Yeah.
I got to tell you, so I don't live all that far from there, and sounding like a lot of damage in my neighborhood as well. That sounds a little bit, dicey as we talk about like high winds or bursts or tornadoes or something like that.
Boy.
And I know we have some video that Maddie Schmidt shot, and I was talking to you about this in Florence. I don't know if we can take that real quickly. I know I'm asking for a lot from these guys. They're back there. So if you can fly with me, guys.
I'll tell you what I'm going to do, Tanya. While we're looking at some of this video, I'm going to set up a quick understanding of what's going to be happening, at least for tomorrow, because there's going to be a lot of unfortunate cleanup here for a lot of folks. And I'm sure you're going to have to help your neighbors. Oh, boy, look at that.
Okay, there you go. So that's video. And by the way, we're 76,000 people without power. And you can see that, Steve. I talked to you about that a little bit ago. That's a picture that was sent to us from Florence. I mean, that seems odd to me. But I don't know.
There's no, that's, I will say this. That was part of the tornado warning from earlier.
And then I know there's a picture from Amberley Village that we have as well. As you start, as you're looking at that one, Steve, I don't know if those guys can get that all queued up.
Yeah.
There have been so many pictures and videos, and it is, we are in a, obviously in a situation, we are inputting as much of that as possible. We are spread out. COVID spread out. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, there you go.
There we go. So that's a tree down.
There's a tree down. That's a medium-sized tree or so, yeah.
That's an Independence. And there's another one that I sent in from a neighbor that
take a look at my
that is a humongous tree that I think we have as well. This one's in Independence, Kentucky. It looks like a Bradford pear kind of tree. So not particularly large, but boy, that could seriously do a lot of damage for sure. Yeah. I don't know what this video is from, but guys, if you can tell me, that is a huge tree that...
Madeira.
This is in Madeira. Probably Craig McKee shot this as well. Oh, that's into someone's house. Oh my gosh. That is into someone's home. You can see that. He led us right to that and shining his light on it for us to watch his video, and that spotlight that he has put on it, a flashlight, showing us that it's that large tree just twisted or snapped over and into someone's poor home. We sure hope the very best for the folks in that home, and that no one was in that top floor, that attic space at the time that this hit. I'm sure, even if they were not, that they are incredibly shaken right now.
Yeah, you got. I'm looking at some of my feed. As we look at that, there's some pictures of note. It looks like a really giant base tree that's almost pulled from the roots. So that was either straight line winds or perhaps tornadic. Obviously, a lot of lightning. Lightning was a big feature, clearly because of all of the power that's been out. If we get some more video or pictures in, Tanya, you worth noting. Guys, go ahead and take.
And I'm going to produce from the desk here real quickly. Guys, there's a bunch of stuff that just came in Slack, and one is a gigantic piece of hail. Please, and some pictures from Mainville of some like larger than quarter size. I'd say, coin dollar size, pieces
probably
of
half
hail.
dollar or maybe as much
Even
as
larger.
Would you say ping pong size?
About this big, so maybe close to ping pong size.
Close to ping pong. Okay,
And
that's probably an inch and a half piece of hail that fell out of the sky.
If you got, I know it's hard, guys, but if you can turn those things around for us real quickly, so we can take a look.
Tell you what, guys, I know we're kind of producing, and it's these guys are all there. When you get a chance, that would be great if we can see that. And in the meantime, I can give a little kibitzing with Tanya here, and that is we're going to have some rain here now for the next few hours across the tri-state. So quite frankly, folks, I know there's obviously some people who have had extensive damage, as we've just witnessed there, and that can't be the only one.
No, not at all.
Please be safe, because it's dark, and obviously it's going to take some time for Duke to get out and attack those power lines. You were saying, I think earlier, it was going to take several hours to get out to restore power, and there's so much down. There's going to be live lines out there, so it would be a mistake to try and get out there and do too much tonight, unless obviously you've got a tree in your house or something that you've got to attend to. It will be there in the morning. The damage will be there. We hope for those folks that you'll be able to take care of that. As you were saying, T, it's just oh goodness, there's another.
Well, as you go attend to that real quickly, I'll just tell you, you're absolutely correct. Jake Ryle just sent me a screenshot, one screenshot of like a digital scanner, a police scanner, fire scanner, and there is a tree down at Bellevue Road in Chickapin. This is probably all in the northern Kentucky, Florence area. A tree down at Walton Verona Road, a tree down at US 42 and Richwood Road, wires down at Dixie Highway and Brookwood Drive, wires down at Circle Drive. I mean, tree down at South Interstate 75 in Walton, Kentucky. So, and that was just one screen grab that he took and sent to me. As if our fire and emergency crews weren't busy enough these days, they're going to have plenty to be doing over the next little while. In fact, they're doing plenty right now to help us out. I know that I have a friend who said that there is a tree down that's a very large tree. It's snapped in half, and we have that picture somewhere, and half of that tree has gone into a home. It is just a tree that you couldn't get your arms around, kind of gigantic oak tree. I've gotten messages from people saying lots of oak trees down. My sister actually just sent me a text just this very second. I don't know if can you see that? You can kind of see that. That's hail on her hand. Steve, you see that?
Yeah, I can. That's like quarter size. I'll bet you almost everybody saw a little of that across the tri-state tonight, because that's technically severe hail. That's kind of the threshold right there. And then anything larger than that becomes unusual, certainly for this area. Tanya, I got to do a quick update here.
Sure,
guys, if we can go to the maps when you get a chance. We do have, if you can believe this, a new severe thunderstorm warning, and it frankly stretches over a large portion of the tri-state. Apparently what's going on here is right from about Hillsborough, West Union, and down through Maysville. I can't turn off all of these polygons, but let me try and outline what we're talking about here. We're talking about this region here, including Hillsborough. That area that you see there, all under a severe thunderstorm warning, meaning there are wind gusts to 60 miles an hour across that area right now. So all across that region, this is what I was talking about, that while the main line is pushed off to the east, there are still cells in there that are creating gusts that could be damaging at your home or wherever you may be. So let's take a look at some of these areas. I'm not seeing any wind gusts at present. I'm seeing some little bit of hail. But across that region, the gusts have obviously been happening. The good news is we're not seeing the dangerous twisting winds we had earlier. As some folks have probably learned tonight in our little Weather 101 segment, that when you see the green and the red together, that's bad news. Those are the twisting winds, but you'll see them all going in one fashion. All right, that warning has been lifted. That's the good news, because I don't see any 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts either. So, Tanya, let me do this. Guys, hang in on the maps for a second. I'm going to jump over to here and give the folks at home a little update, and then you can take it away. Here's the story as we head into your Friday. Now, we're going to see a chance for showers in the morning, but it's going to be very early. Frankly, by the looks of things right now, I think we'll probably just see some clouds. So it's, if nothing else, it's going to be a quiet day for cleanup. The one thing it will be is chilly. Temperatures will be in the upper 40s at about 7 o'clock, and then afternoon, you'll notice 55. And going into the weekend, you'll see I'm keeping things cold in the morning, just flat out cold. It might get frosty. So I know this is a minor note given what we've gone through, but for those of you who are lucky enough not to have any damage or problems, cover your plants over the next few nights, because you're going to need to.
Yeah, indeed.
Tanya, you just planted, you said, huh?
Yeah, plenty in my yard. So I'll be throwing out all kinds of stuff. But while we're focused on this, Steve, we do have those hail pictures we can show you. This is someone's video they sent to us.
That's a good-sized piece of hail.
And that's all over their yard, too. So I'm trying to look back to see. I'm sorry we don't have all of our courtesies in to say thank you to whomever sent these to us. But I'm telling you right now, we're just moving as fast as we can, and that takes a little extra time. That's Kathy Young, I believe, right there, that sent us those. And that hail in Williamsburg, I'm not sure who sent that to us, but that was from Williamsburg. We also have that Amberley Village picture. There it is. See that tree, Steve?
Jeez.
Yeah, that tree you cannot put your arms around. I don't believe it's a pretty big tree, big, giant, sizable tree. And as I understand it, it has obviously poked a hole of some sort, large hole into one of the homes there. One of the branches, as you can imagine, is probably as big as some trees in newer developments. This is an older neighborhood in Amberley Village. And so as I understand it, hoping that those folks are okay, of course, that is, that tree. Wow, and those homes nearby, those folks that live there, I hope that they're okay.
That's pretty significant there. Now, I will say it does look fairly dried out, but even so, snapping a tree like that of that size, that takes some extremely strong winds and likely twisting winds, because you're looking at, very strong wind gusts, whether they were straight line or most likely in this case, and I say that, could very well be tornadic. One little note, I just pulled this up just as long as we probably should dump out here just so we get into Kimmel, but take a look at this and it'll leave you here. You were talking about, we're not going to Kimmel?
We're staying on.
Oh, okay.
We're going to try to get as many of these pictures and videos
that's fine by me, because that's my preference anyway. Take a look at this. Here are your severe threats when it comes to hail, and this will give you an idea. We're looking at that little piece there that was likely close to ping pong size, so we're talking about 1.5 inches. It is unlikely for us to see the ones on the bottom. We have on rare occasion. We did back on March 12, 2012. Some folks showed me some that were golf ball size, even upwards of tennis ball size, but that's when we had F3 and F4 tornadoes in the area back in March 2nd. But as you look, we have to get it to quarter size for it to rate into a severe storm. A lot of time we get that dime, penny, maybe even nickel, and P is just your regular garden variety thunderstorm showing up. So with that done, let me give you a little update as to where we are with the thunderstorms, and we'll try and catch up with or let the story catch up with us, so to speak. If you're watching us now, chances are, at least for half of the viewing area, you're dry. You can see there how the storms have passed on and the heavy rain have moved off for a lot of the greater Cincinnati area. As we bring it in tight, you'll see certainly around 275 in greater Cincinnati. We're talking about some moderate rain on the east side and stretching out to Clermont and down through Kenton and Campbell County, but that's about it. For our friends who are east of greater Cincinnati, still some very heavy rain. Let me show you what went on tonight. I think it's worthwhile to look at the entire storm itself. If you're watching now, then there's a high interest level that you want to see this. And I'm going to take off the other attributes, including the lightning, only because it'll be easier to see for you. And I'm backing it up here manually, and we bring it back. Let's bring it back 3 hours here. And as we do that, you'll be able to see how the entire storm formed. Here it was at 9:21. We got our first warnings in for southeast Indiana just before 10 o'clock. And that line continued to expand. And this was our first tornado warning. If you look down here, and let me highlight it for you, you'll notice this area right there was our first tornado warning down through southeast Indiana and also in through northern Kentucky. And we often call it a hook echo. Because of the rotation in the winds within the storm, it creates this hook. And it happens along the lines periodically, and you're going to see this a number of times now as I push it across the tri-state. As we continue here, we started to continue to pop off with other tornado warnings. We started to see that incredible rotation showing up in through Warren County set up, and a tornado warning starting to form that you see here as you follow my cursor up through the, almost really breaking into the east side, but really north side. And then we continued here with this area down through Boone County as a tornado warning. Then those warnings continued as these storms just rolled across. And if you remember what I said about a hook echo, look right here on the east side. See that kind of almost thumb effect that's happening? Okay, there it is there. And then we continued to see this notching happening across northern Kentucky, all indicating some high rotation areas. It pushed on and really started to become significant. I say that because we started to see up and down this line all little, what clearly was rotation in this storm on a line basis, more than just one or even two. We started to see 3 or 4 of these, and why we started to get what was essentially a solid line stretching across all of Clermont County down into northern Kentucky as a tornado warning, something we rarely see. It was because this storm really started to get together. In fact, as I look at it, there's this little knuckle and fist that's right here north of Batavia. And then you'll notice down in through northern Kentucky, there's this notching effect that's happening here and by Dry Ridge. Notching as in there's a wind flow happening. We continue to see all of that notching happening across the line itself. Look on the E in Dry Ridge. I can't lift that off, but there it is. There's a little bit more here in southern Campbell and what would be northern Pendleton County. Then there's a little bit more in Clermont County and under Batavia. Then there's some notching starting up here in northern Clermont County. And we still have this big rotation that's really starting to happen up by southern Warren County heading toward Clinton and Highland County. This was just at 10:51. So think about it. This was an hour and a half, and we already are seeing these storms form up and down this line, which is essentially a line of tornado warnings. Again, we move it forward even just a few minutes, and if you watch it, you can now start to see how these things are happening. Now that I'm describing them, look at this here. This is a formed hook echo, another one higher, some notching in the county. There's Clermont County with a bounded weak echo region indicating high rotation. Then there's this wrapping up that's happening right now. Do you see how the reflectivity? Hold on, we've got a potential warning or something setting up here. Hold on. Want to make sure we update everything here. Storms can you move south? Okay, this is just a canceling of something else outside of our area, so we're good. So watch this continue to happen now as it rolls across the area. Now you're starting to see it. You don't have to be a meteorologist, and quite frankly, it's rather pronounced, a lot more than we would see. This hook down here is something we rarely see. That's almost a classic hook you would teach a first-year Met student. That's so easy to see. And then it continues as it rolls all across here. You start to see them still there. And they continue to propagate all across that line. And there's that line all across there and then pushing off. And then we start to see a little bit less severe from a tornadic standpoint, but these storms are still severe. Oh, and by the way, just for the record, now I want you to spot out here, and I'm going to highlight this area for you so you watch it only. And you'll see why, if you were watching coverage, why I was so concerned for those folks. Watch just this area. Can't you see it just churning up there into a circle? Right?
And does that always indicate, Steve, since you're showing us that, and I felt the gravity of the situation in your demeanor as you started talking about that and you started seeing that develop. I mean, obviously, you're leading me to believe that there was some sort of tornadic activity up there.
Yeah, and it became quite apparent at that juncture even earlier before we then, if you'll remember, right about this point, we got a confirmation, and I'm not sure I can get exactly what time it was here. Evidence, there it is, I've got it. It was right at 11 o'clock. And right there, there's 11:06, in fact, on the radar if you look at the corner. So right at, let's break it back, and there's 11. Right there at the corner of that confluence that we're talking about. And as you look at it, you can see the wrapping of that area. That's where we have evidence of a tornado on the ground in northern Brown County, moving into western Highland County. Take shelter immediately. That was from the National Weather Service. And that's likely the area that they were talking about. Now, it's possible, as I look at things, it could have been in another area, but I would imagine they were talking about that area there just because of the high rotation that was going on. And we don't see that kind of broad circulation. And then if you look at it, we sometimes call this, and I don't want to get too technical or in the weeds, so to speak, but gate-to-gate shear. And if you look at this, and right here, you'll see how this green shade and this red shade essentially are together. Now, there's gray around there. We sometimes call that gray ghost. What's happening is there's so many bands of winds going back and forth. The radar is located up here. And how this is happening and what's going on, and in fact, let me push it forward because I think it's even more pronounced. See how that's probably really quite good there, and it starts breaking away, but this is gate to gate, meaning it's right next to each other. So what's going on is this. On one side, we've got winds that are going toward the radar, so they're going in here. But right next to it, I mean right next to it, we're talking about winds like that. So within this, you're getting this kind of winds that are starting to curl. Yeah. Guys, come out to here. Come out to me in a second. We'll show this, and this will show the properties of what we're talking about. I sometimes use this. If you think about winds going toward, winds going away, right? So you've got this happening with my hands. So if you've got a pen in there, you start seeing how the winds begin to roll within that area. The tighter that happens, the better chance of that wind roll, so to speak. Then we've got updraft, and that's what rolls it up, and we end up getting that, starting to get that very strong twisting winds, and then we get, obviously, funnel clouds or tornadoes out of it. So you can take that from tonight, if nothing else. And boy, this has been a heck of a night. Tanya, anything new to bring to the table here?
Actually, we do have a couple things that we can bring to your attention. Actually, guys, we just 08E Union Lighting, if we can just pull that up real quick. We have some pretty nice shots that people are sending in to us from various portions of the city, of the greater Cincinnati area, in fact. So any of those photos that you can bring up, folks, and we'll just talk through them as we see them. And by the way, I got to tell you, someone sent in, Amy Applegate tweeted to me and to you, Steve, some oh my goodness, where is this? You're seeing, look at that, hail on the ground. But I got to tell you, well, hopefully we can get this turned around for you to see. But Amy Applegate sent in some photos of hail, and it looks to me larger than ping pong size. And I did get a tweet, by the way, as you're looking at more of this weather video coming in that we were shooting around town. I did get a tweet from someone sort of reminding me that it was April 3rd of 1974. We're talking about large-size hail tonight. We're used to pea-size hail in this area. But that in 1974, when those monster tornadoes rolled through this area, that we were getting, softball, baseball-sized hail.
Right.
And that's the Price Hill. We showed you this just a little bit ago. Those are the sirens coming through on the west side of town. So early in the evening when that happened. And folks who are back in our booth, that they're doing such yeoman's work back there, we appreciate what you're doing. If you can see, there's some updated stuff in Slack that people are sending in with names of pictures that you can bring up for us too. So I'm sorry that we're doing a little bit of a cleanup work on the air with you folks. I think you'll understand.
I think folks understand that this is, a very fluid situation. Yeah.
You were talking about, Steve, as we're looking at this, I don't remember exactly where this video came out of, but I think this is still Price Hill, and you're just seeing, just the amount of rain and little bits of hail falling down. This was not even that bad. This was when we're still thinking, okay, this is a good-sized storm, but wait till you see what's coming next, unfortunately.
Yeah.
You talked about how big that swath. I remember when you showed it to us tonight. There it is. Amy Applegate sent this to me on Twitter.
Wow.
Look at that. So that's bigger than ping pong, wouldn't you say?
Those are, I would say, almost well. No,
that's not quite baseball, but
no, they're not now that I see it from that side. They look bigger from the other way. They're certainly, I would say, ping pong side. They look larger than ping pong, right?
That looks, it's just large. And regardless, whatever size it is, you can see folks there that, that causes damage. That hits things, that hurts. That causes.
How about tennis ball size or golf ball size? How about golf ball?
Yeah.
I'd say golf ball. That we're looking at probably 1 3/4 inches or so.
But that's going to cause some damage. That we might have vehicle damage to all kinds of property. One of my neighbors, Melissa, her porch furniture on her front porch is gone. Just gone.
Yeah, that's I'm
thinking what was in my backyard that wasn't held down. Well, that might be gone when I come home early this morning and find out. But lots happening like this. But you were talking, and there was a point, and this is that large tree we were talking about on Grand Vista in at the cul-de-sac there at Amberley Village. Part of it is Pleasant Ridge. Some folks have been yelling at me about that, but this part is Amberley Village. But anyway, you think about when you were talking about that wide swath, it was like 55 miles. That you were, we're now in Boone County, showing you some video from down there that our Maddie Schmidt shot. So as I'm talking about that, Steve, we're showing you this. What I'm trying to get out is that you're just showing us this huge belt of weather that was coming in, and you asked me, had I ever seen anything that intense and large?
Yeah.
And I said, no, I don't think so, and not in my time.
And there's very few folks, I think, in this building, in this town, in broadcasting that rate you, T. So, it has been an ugly night. Lightning has been a huge factor. We see a picture there from Bill Jennings. Thank you, Bill. We were looking at hundreds of lightning strokes every 15 minutes. We were looking at, I think the peak was around 600 or 700 strikes within 15 minutes in certain areas. Just an amazing kind of display of severe weather. And you now understand why folks at home who are with us, when we talk about an enhanced area and widespread, that's why it's so concerning to us and why we call a weather alert day, because when we start climbing that chart on categories, and for us a slight risk means isolated, but when we get to enhanced, this is what we're talking about. And quite frankly, given the outbreak, we could have been in a moderate category because we saw numerous potential tornadoes, and certainly we had warnings across the area. Let me show you how the evolution of this happened. Guys, if you can go to the maps here, I think it's kind of interesting, and it's a good point to remind folks when we talk about how storms like this can happen. In a moment here, we're going to
breaking news alert.
We're going to take a look at that, and we'll show you the maps. And this back at about, we were doing our 6 o'clock news. We were talking about, and this was at 6:17. Take a look at the map. With the exception of a couple of storms down to the south, this is the way things looked.
All right, I'm going to go to Craig. Our co-anchor, Craig McKee, is on the phone. He's in Madeira, and he has been sending in video. Craig, I know that you've seen some pretty significant damage. You actually sent us video of a tree that you followed it with your camera to show that it landed into a home. What can you tell us about what you're seeing in your area? Craig, are you with us? All right, you know what I'm going to do, folks? Go ahead and hang that up to the control room. Hang that up. I'm just going to call him on my cell phone and put on my speaker so that you can hear it through my microphone, just so we can do this real quickly. So, Craig, hang up with them if you can, and I'm just going to do that instead, because you're looking at Craig's video right now, and I want to let him tell you what he's seeing. He's talking about some significant damage that he has seen going out. And by the way, I can hear you. Okay, Craig, here's the question. Say that again.
Okay, so, I was preparing, obviously, to go on at 11, just like the rest of you, and the tornado warning kicked out, aiming straight towards the Madeira area and surrounding areas here. So my entire family, we went into the basement like so many in the area. But as soon as it was safe enough and that storm had passed, I went ahead and did what we all do in this business, of course, and you go out and as safely as you can start assessing things. And through the Madeira area, there are a number of trees down. Power is completely out, completely dark in this area and parts of Sycamore Township. As I drove around, the tree you mentioned just a moment ago over in Sycamore Township, that is a huge tree over into a neighbor's yard, smashed up against the car in the driveway, but it goes over and it took out the second story of the house there. The people were home.
Do we know are they okay?
Yeah, people are okay. They're fine. People a little shaken up, but otherwise they're fine. There were a couple other trees and other homes in that area as well. Every single trash can, and this is obviously not a big deal right now, but tomorrow morning was trash day in this area, and it's kind of dangerous to drive around because everything that was inside those trash cans is now all over Kenwood Road and surrounding areas. But there's just a lot of tree limbs down, complete darkness. Pretty much the only people driving around right now for the most part are police, fire, ambulance, responding to different homes, with the power outage right now.
Craig, I know that you know some police officers in that area. I don't know if you've been able to speak with them and if they've been able to tell you what they're experiencing, what they're going out on tonight.
For the most part, in contacting them, pretty calm, thankfully, in the Madeira area and the Sycamore Township area. Really the large limbs that are down in some of the neighborhoods and a few trees into houses. As of right now, no reports of any serious injuries as a result of that powerful storm making its way through this area here. And I keep texting and reaching out to folks. Emergency vehicle actually just driving by me now. No lights or signs on, just driving by. But, right now I think it's the check your neighbors, check your neighborhood, just to make sure everyone is okay right now. And, with no power, people need that sometimes with oxygen machines, et cetera. So I'm sure there's going to be some medical calls coming out as folks need that medical attention for those types of reasons because they don't have power.
All right, Craig, thanks so much. Call us back. Keep looking around and letting us know what you see, and give me a shout back when you're ready to talk again. We thank you so much for checking in. It's great to have all of our folks are out there. I know that we now have a couple of our photographers, even some of our reporters who have live shots going up for us so that we can show you what's going on. In fact, I believe and folks, I know I'm asking you to do a lot back there, Fedig, but I understand that Maddie's shot is up live and that Courtney Francisco is with her. I'm not sure that they're ready to go yet, but if we can get those shots up soon and so we can show folks what's happening from those perspectives, that would be great. Meanwhile, you're looking at that shot that Amy Applegate tweeted to me a little bit ago.
I tell you what, T, I've got my Twitter up with a lot of pictures from folks, some brand new pictures folks at home haven't seen. And while the folks are trying to get the live shot up, I can show you here on our big monitor what we're talking about. I placed it in here so you can take a look.
Okay, there's a live shot. I believe that's Maddie Schmidt's shot. She was down in Florence. Maddie, is that you? Can you hear us?
Yes, this is Courtney Francisco. We can hear you.
Hey, Courtney. Okay, tell us where you are, and we see a bunch of emergency crews there. What are we looking at, and what's going on?
Okay, let me show you what's happening here. We're on Kentucky 18 Highway. You can see the power line is down here at the road, and we have some crews working on fixing that right now. Boone County Sheriff is out here. This is completely blocked off. What is this road right here? Centennial Road is blocked off at Kentucky 18, and on the other side of this as well. Also Kentucky 18. It loops around there. So on that side, if you are on Kentucky 18, you will run into sheriff's deputies that are blocking the road, and that is because a traffic light is down on one end, and on the other end, this power line is down. Tanya?
Okay, Courtney, thanks so much. I mean, obviously, it is 12:25 at night. There is no traffic going through there, and considering that we're all supposed to be sort of sheltering at home anyway, not a lot of problems there. But I don't know if you've been able to speak with these folks who are out there working on this, or if you've seen any police or fire. But if you do, certainly stop them and find out what they're hearing as far as any other sorts of damage in that area. Courtney, I know you live in northern Kentucky. As you drove down there, can you describe for me what that was like? And Maddie Schmidt, I know also was saying that she was struggling to drive to her locations that she was going to in Florence because of the torrential rain and the hail and such. So I'm curious to get both of your perspectives if possible.
Yeah, Tanya, let me tell you, as I was driving in from my house in Covington, you see a lot of trees down, limbs down, not on the highway, but whenever you take the exit to get here. What exit is that you take to get here from Covington, sir? I'm here with the sheriff's deputy right now.
Probably the 181. So if they're coming, are they coming 75 or 275?
From 75, you're taking exit 181, and at that point you will see some car dealerships, and there are some limbs down there, and that's when you run in about a mile down Kentucky 18. You run into power lines and traffic lights down.
Okay. And I don't know if you can interview Maddie, Courtney, at all about what she experienced as she was driving around.
Yeah, Maddie, talk to me about what you experienced.
Yeah, Tanya, while I was driving down here, like you said, I had kind of described it. It was a little, torrential pour. You could just see the lightning just arcing in the sky. And then, the first thing that I got to off the highway was a snapped in half power line.
Yeah, and
that's a problem when you run into that, Tanya, because these power lines are down and the deputies are saying if you go any further, you could get electrocuted.
Oh, really? So obviously, so we have wires arcing and that type of thing. So now they have got to turn off power if they have not already, which means power will be off in that area, not just on the street, but if there are surrounding businesses and homes in that area, just another layer of issues, right, Courtney?
That's right. So when I talked to deputies as I was coming in here, they said power will be out for quite some time. They're not sure when it will be back on. Here at this gas station where we're sitting on Kentucky 18 and Centennial, looks like lights are on in some of the businesses around here. But of course, they have to cut that power to fix this line.
Okay, so guys, stay with us. Stand by, gather whatever information you have. We appreciate it. We'll get back to you just as soon as we possibly can to get some more from you. I know Kristen Swilley was working on getting her shot up as well. Folks, do we have that one yet? Ah, there she is, Kristen Swilley. I don't know if you even know you're on TV right now. You probably don't. You're typing in. But as soon as we can let her know that we're
talking to you.
Oh, hey. Yeah. Hey. So
I think you're on. Go.
Oh.
Okay, guys. Sorry about that. A couple of technical difficulties out here. There's a lot going on out here on Betty Lane in Milford. I can tell you just over my shoulder here, power line obviously down. It's really hard to make out because this area has lost power completely. But all the way behind me, there is a tree that is blocking this street entirely. So if you live on Betty Lane in Milford, okay, and I'm actually lots pointing me around this way. Excuse me as I move this microphone a little bit. But you can see this is just one of the several trees that are down in people's yards as well. So that's what's going on here. There's a similar situation across the street. This is sort of a narrow residential street here in Milford, but and it's not until you turn on here that you really notice. Obviously, you can see the power is out everywhere, but just some of the damage that's down. Not really seeing much on people's homes. That's good news, but definitely seeing, obviously, we're showing the fact that the road is closed right there. But just sort of, obviously, the power is out, trees are down. Just saw some people sort of step out of their home to survey any possible damage. But from what we've seen, and again, it's low light out here, that there really isn't much damage to homes, it looks like at this point. The major thing seems to be different trees are down. So we will send it on back to you guys for right now. I'll try and make sure I can hear you guys next time coming out. But for now, reporting live, Kristen Swilley, WCPO 9 News.
All right, Kristen, thanks so much. Yeah, gather what you can. We appreciate you doing that. I know it's really dark out there. It's hard to see. And so, of course, by daylight, we will be experiencing a totally different scene outside many of our doors and windows. Steve, I do want to ask you, if I can, the National Weather Service, it takes them a bit to determine what we actually had occur in our communities. But are they saying anything right now that tells us, that indicates maybe what did happen? But we know there was a lot of rain and wind and all that, but I'm talking about if there was any tornadic activity at all.
Well, yeah, what it'll be is the proverbial surveys in the morning. What they're going to do is they do a great job up there in breaking up in teams, and they'll start hitting the areas that they feel probably were most notable that could very well have been something along those lines. So that will happen, and it may not happen tomorrow, but likely it will because of the severity and the enormous outbreak where they get around to 2 or 3 or maybe 4 different places. They may get some help from Columbus if they can, or other offices as well. You know, you were talking about the, different things that are happening. Guys, if we can take this full, I thought I would add to the picture realm here, only from the standpoint that there's some pretty notable pictures in the way of some Hail, that seems to be a big factor tonight across the tri-state, as well as the obvious winds and other damages. You'll see some of these pictures here. There's the one that we looked at earlier from Amy. These were interesting because they show, if you look up here, look at the rotation of the clouds. You can see the wrapping of the clouds that were caught here. This was from the Ohio weather specialist. Thanks, guys, for that. Here's a varying degree of hail. I'm sure a lot of folks saw some different types of hail for tonight. I got a lot of different video in. Let me show you this here. Here's a damage picture that just came in from Arlington Heights. You can see some of the siding, and it looks like, is that a tree against the house? It looks like it is. That's Dawn. Thank you, Dawn, from Arlington Heights. Some of the other pictures. Here's Dawn's picture underneath that awning that looks like it was damaged as well. Once again, the swing set can't handle the winds, according to Terry. It got knocked over there. Not sure where Terry is. She didn't mention that. As we look, here's a piece of video for you, and Cincy Photography sent this, and you'll see what's going on there with some hail that's all falling across. Look at how much is falling is the interesting part, right? And here's a spot of a lot of lightning from Sarah. That was Mason. Here's some more hail showing from Nikki in Brown County. She got a lot as well. Look at all the hail on the ground here. That's quite a hail. And this one, what is that, about an inch? Looks like that it is. That came from Evan. Thanks, Evan, on that. Here's a little more video. Let's see where that's from. Jeff Hester sent it in, didn't say where it was from, but there's some of the intense lightning that we saw. As we talked about, there was quite a bit, and I'm quite certain anybody who's listening to us now had quite a bit as well. Here's a little more from Covington and some of the lightning that Charlie saw there, and you can see it lighting up the sky. In fact, our own Megan Wesley had sent in a picture. I don't know if I'll come to it because we got a lot here, but she had taken a picture, and much like that lightning, all of a sudden it was as if, hold on a second, just want to say, oh, I see why he sent this in. Take a look at this video again here. Watch this play out right at the end. I think it was right at the end. Let's see. Hey, look at that. Not sure, hard to say, but that sure does look like a lowering base there, doesn't it? Can't tell completely. I'd have to stop it down and look at the single frames, but you get my meaning there. It does kind of look like it might have been a funnel cloud. I was just saying that Megan Wesley had sent in a picture showing that it just lit up the night sky like it was daylight. Daylight, rather. Sorry, getting a little late here. But here's a good example of some of that frequent lightning. My goodness, just cracking there across the area. Here's a few more. Those are the pictures from a little bit earlier, I think. And let's see if there's anything else worth noting. I think these are some of the other pictures. Here's some more video. You can take a look at this. Here's from Harrison. This is from Westchester, Cincinnati Dayton Road, and some of the thunderstorms that were popping off across there. For you folks, look at the flag just standing out straight almost, and the strong winds. Let's see what this is. Some lightning, it looks like, across the area.
You know what's interesting to me, Steve, is as you're looking through this, and I'm looking through stuff that's being sent to me on Twitter. It's Latonia, it's Silverton, it's Brown County, it's everywhere.
Hold on, Tanya, hold on. Oh, this is from John Scott, our family. Oh, goodness gracious. I thought this was my house. I thought my wife took this until I saw John's. This is a tree like mine. But look at this. How about this, Tanya?
See. My goodness.
Because I have a basketball court right there at my driveway, and then a big tree by it as well. It's kind of gave me a start. John, I'm so sorry. That's tough. That's tough going there. Let's see if there's anything. Oh, there's some more hail showing up. Just popping down. Got some more. That's some more of that. Let's see where this is from. Anderson Township. Looks like it was probably some lightning, just lighting up the sky. And let's see here. This is from Clinton County. T.J. Riley says the sheer energy of Mother Nature is astounding. You got that right. Just a lot of lightning showing up, and I think that's probably about it. Some other graphics at some Mets that follow me. There's a good lightning strike right there. Doesn't say from behind my house. Didn't say where it was. Oh, yeah, this was one that I saw earlier. East Fork Lake area. A 40-foot tree ripped from the ground. Look at that. That's the base of the tree. That's what she was trying to show. It was pulled out of the ground. 40-foot tree Danielle Donnelly. Thanks, Danielle. Gosh, sorry to hear that. Can't see what that. Oh, there it is. Oh, there's perspective. Look at this. That's a person next to that tree. Then you get the idea how big
Gosh,
that
you have good eyes. I couldn't tell that at
tree.
all. I really couldn't.
So you got somebody in a vest, and there's the tree, the 40-footer, and then there's the base of the tree that we're looking at. So you really get, wow, that was some winds up by East Fork Lake. Yeah, that looks like that's pretty much it on Twitter then. Near 222, some damage there. This just came in. I didn't show you that. That was from Matt.
Oh, wow.
Looks like a metal barn stripped apart there, or, oh, I see.
Like
It's
a storage facility?
area. Yeah, storage area, huh? Okay.
You know, I've got some similar pictures that I know that we're trying to get up right now as you're doing this, Steve. That
I just have the
areas.
advantage
Does it
of
say
being
what
able
part
to
of town
slide.
that is?
You know, it's a two-screen
I know, you're so lucky.
computer,
You're
so yeah,
very,
most folks know what that is.
very
so.
clever. But that last storage facility, does it say, those folks say where that was?
Near
What part?
222.
Huh. Okay.
Wherever that is. It does. Hey, Matt, you may be watching. If you are, just tweet me again and let me know where it was, and we can tell the folks. See if there's anything else.
I would like it if we could pull up some of the pictures that were just added, folks. I'm sorry to be asking you to do so much, but there's one from Silverton I'd like to see, and then there's one that's a Ring doorbell video. It's 080 Ring. Okay, so they're working on getting those for us. When they get them for us, I'd like you to see that. Someone sent via Twitter to me that the hail set off their Ring doorbell.
Oh, that yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah.
I have heard of that. Here's another. Okay, there's a shot for you. There's Amy Keller's shot. I've got another couple of shots for you too, guys. Too, when you get back, when you get a chance. There's Rebecca Pike. Look at the size of that one. That's good size. That's tennis ball.
And then we have a video of a potential funnel cloud. Steve, take close attention to this because the sky lights up quickly.
Okay. You can see rotation of a
huge
supercell,
cloud.
but I don't know that I'm seeing. I can
Scotty,
you can
let's
see
just play a couple times so he can see this.
Yeah, I see there in the middle what that might be
It's
a
sort of
wall
that
cloud.
lighter
It might be a little
portion.
dropping there, right there. Yeah, you'd have to take that one frame that's lit and then kind of stop it and take a look. And I'm not even
I
sure.
tried to do that on my computer and I failed terribly. But that's, because I think someone was thinking that that's what they were seeing in the night sky there.
Yeah.
Thank you, Greg Weber, for sending that in. By the way, thank you all of you who've been sending things in because, as you can tell, it's extremely helpful as we continue to fan out our crews. And I'll tell you, just to pull back the curtain a little bit, we have Kristen Swilly and our lot Tanner moving from the location where they just were. They were showing us those trees down, and it was very dark, to an area where they understand there's significantly more damage to be able to try to bring that to us. So we're tap dancing a little bit so that they can get to those locations and be able to bring that to us. But it's helpful that we can show you these things as well because like folks like Greg and others who are Amy who have sent in pictures, we appreciate it. That way we can give you like a slice of life of what happened in each community. And it's so different to see all of these different perspectives, and you become the reporters for us. You journalists out in the field for us. We appreciate that. There is the Ring doorbell video. Look at this.
Oh, wow.
Thank you, Brittany, for this. I'm assuming that's hail, or is that just high wind, or that heavy winds and rain? You can hear the siren going off.
It looks like it's rain, but
Yeah,
it's hard to tell because it's coming in from all sections. I don't.
But see,
I guess it could be that the ring's not picking up the. I don't know. It looks like rain.
Do you hear that siren going off and see the sunset in the distance? I'm assuming that sunset
I
might
think
be
that's just a color.
houses.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, I got to jump in here. Our friend Matt got back to us. Matt, thanks for watching and thanks for giving us the update. Just before we talk about this, let me just say that was in Amelia. That was at Route 222 in Amelia. So, Matt, thanks very much. Appreciate it.
And this is from Celeste Taylor. Steve, sorry to interrupt you. This is what I was talking about in Silverton. It looks a lot to me like what happened in that one area, that one picture you were showing us of the, is that what Matt was showing us? I'm not sure, of the storage facility. But this looks like a business in Silverton, and because it looks like that's a garage door, or like a roll-up garage door, but you can see half of that roof is off.
That's what I was going to say. It looks like it's lifted up. That's the underside of the roof, or fell in.
See, it looks like it's flipped up, and then you can see.
It depends if it was a flat roof or a pitched roof, I guess. Is that missing the other side of the pitch? I don't know.
I'm not quite sure, but you can see all that debris in front of that open doorway as well, and that roof behind looks awfully odd the way it's standing up.
Yeah, it sure does. Oh, yeah, I got a couple more damage pictures here, guys, if you don't have any more when you're ready.
What I would like to do is go back to Courtney Francisco, if that's okay with you, Steve, real quick. So, Courtney, you're standing by. You're in northern Kentucky. Tell us exactly where and what's going on there.
I'm here on Kentucky Highway 18 at Centennial, right at the divide between Burlington and Florence. Let me show you what we see here. A crew is working to fix that power line that fell down. When this storm blew through here, people saw damage in central and northern Boone, Burlington area, possibly got the brunt of everything. Now, again, I'm here between Burlington and Florence at Kentucky 18. This highway is closed at Centennial all the way around. It circles around. And we have a power line down here. Power lights are down on the other side of town. More toward Burlington, you have a lot of light poles that were turning down. People saw hail. Trees down everywhere, deputies tell me, blocking roads. Transformers were blown. A majority of the damage is resolved. And right here, Tanya, we expect this road to be back open in 1 hour. We will keep you updated.
I got to say, Courtney, I am absolutely impressed at how quickly this crew is working to get this intersection up and running and open for folks. It seems really pretty Johnny on the spot as far as I can tell.
Oh, yeah, these people work very quickly.
Yeah, impressive. Thanks so much. We do appreciate that very much. Steve, I know you had some things you wanted to show us if you can. Courtney, thanks. We'll get back to you in just a little bit. Steve, what do you have?
Yeah, there's obviously, I put up my Twitter page, and folks are now just pushing stuff in, and there's one here that shows some pretty significant damage. And that is, we'll show it here momentarily, but it's from Julie in Gallatin County. It's for the folks who know that area. She said it's at 42 near Haze in Gallatin County. And you'll look at the video here in a second. But it looks like some significant damage across the roadway. This is what we were talking about and what you were talking about where Courtney is. And I think this is going to be really problematic for a lot of folks in the morning. There's going to be a lot of areas that are going to be facing the same thing with a lot of power lines and power poles and trees and everything else that are going to be around the area. The problem is for those folks who do have to go to work. A lot of folks are working from home, but for those who do, there's going to be some difficulties. Guys, can we take this full so you can see this off of the maps? Thank you. Here's the story. Here's Julie and Hammy's, and you'll see what we're talking about right there. You'll see whoever this was. I don't know if it was Julie or somebody else, but is that a tree or is that power line, or what do you think, T? I'm not really sure myself here.
That looks like
maybe a tree down.
Hard for me to tell.
Hard to see. Might be a power line. Thanks very much, Julie, for sending this in. Look at Michelle Hummel here from Independence, Kentucky. Looks like there's going to be an insurance call on this one. That's a pergola, she said, that came down. There's a couple other notable ones. This is actually, we showed this earlier. It's worth showing again only because we now know it was from Blue Ash. And you'll see that curvature of the storm itself. And look at these pictures of hail all across the area. Goodness, that's a lot of hail to fall in one area. Look at this. Looks like she was salting, or he was salting the area, but in fact it was hail coming down, huh? That was Matthew. Thank you, Matthew, very much. We've got a lightning picture here, cloud to cloud, showing up in this picture as well from Newtown. All of these areas, of course, were struck with all of this severe weather. Here's just a flashing of lights from Jennifer Lind. Here's a good picture of the lightning and showing going from night to day, huh? This is what I was talking about a little bit earlier from Megan, who works with us. She had shown a picture like this. That's how much lightning was happening. across the area at one time. If you do have some pictures, we certainly would love to see them. Brittany's just sent this in from Mount Orab. Let's take a look at this. Ooh, that looks certainly scary. Hard to say what it could mean, but certainly scary there. Mount Orab was one of the areas under a tornado warning. So, oh, wow. I see what you're showing there. So,
oh, wow. Oh,
yeah,
my gosh.
Yeah,
Where is
you're
this?
looking at the potential little wedge something going on there. Hard to say. Very nicely caught, though. Who was this? This was Brittany. Thank you, Brittany, for sending this in.
What part of town did she say?
Renee Vance. Oh, Brittany sent it, but Renee Vance caught this. This is from Mount Orab. Hard to say exactly, but boy, there sure does look like some formation there, doesn't it? And it looks like it might have been on the ground. It wouldn't surprise us. It wouldn't surprise us given everything that we've seen so far tonight. Here's some more damage. Ronald sent this in. Not sure from where, but there you go. Another tree down into some property. That's going to be a real problem in the morning. We're going to hear the whir of chainsaws all across the tri-state in the morning, I'm afraid.
Right, and I mean, look, this is on top of, as if we need to even say it, this is on top of coronavirus and all the things that we're dealing with, and we know people are going to have a tendency, they're going to want to gather together in the morning and stuff. Please, you got to remember that we got to stay with that as well. As hard, this is just going to add another level of difficulty to our lives and to this sheltering in place or self-quarantining that we're doing. So just remember that we have orders from governors in the two states we're talking about here, and of course Indiana as well. So all three of our tri-state, we have to do what they are asking us to do, but we also have to take care of our properties as well. So we know that this is going to be extraordinarily difficult for so many people. We'll work real hard tomorrow to make sure that we get as many opportunities for you guys to get the help that you need and try to find out how to do all of that. But this is going to be a trying time, even more so for so many people.
You got that right. Here's Shannon Roll sent this in. Some pretty good lightning in Milford, lighting up the sky. This one here from Andrew Monahan. Andrew, thank you in Blue Ash. Look at all the hail on the ground. Quite a bit. Smaller size, thankfully, but these are the kind, don't underestimate this, because I don't know if it's happened to anybody else. It happened to me a few years ago where we had a pretty good hailstorm, and my car, I have a garage at the house, was left outside, and I had enough hail where it pinged right off the hood, and I ended up having to get some body work done because there was all these dimples all over the front hood. So even though it's, can you tap F11 to make the browser full screen? Thank you, Kevin. Here's some other video as well.
Can you make that bigger?
I don't know.
Yeah, go down in the bottom corner on that right.
I normally
right there, down there. See that?
Yeah, but it does that. I guess it's okay.
It's okay.
I guess it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. All right. Learning something every day. Thank you. Was it Kevin? Thanks, Kevin. Oh, there you go. That's what we were talking about. I think I caught the worst frame there. Yeah, that was that area of low pressure moving right across the area. Out here in Loveland, Steve. So there's Loveland. There you go. Look at the winds and the rain. You can see it going sideways there. Loveland was hit pretty hard under a tornado warning there for a time.
You know what, if I can interrupt you for a minute while you start looking for other things.
Yeah,
we have our Josh Bazan, who is standing by live in Fayetteville. And Josh, I mean, gosh, it looks pitch black behind you, but you've been headed there. You're there now. What are you seeing?
Hi, Tanya. Yeah, we just got here in Lake Lorelei in Fayetteville, and I'll show you. This is what we're seeing. This is a massive pine tree. It's uprooted.
Oh, my
You can
gosh.
see it's taller than I am, 6.5 feet in the air. And there are several trees that have been knocked over in this neighborhood. We just saw a crew drive through. We're on Eiffel Cove. They were checking on neighbors to make sure everyone's okay. There's a little bit of damage to the house. I was speaking to some neighbors here. A tree fell onto their back porch, damaged their porch. There's a lot of damage like this, and we're also hearing from those neighbors that the other side of the lake may have been hit even worse. But as you can see from this tree here, this gives you sort of a sense of the damage that this storm had here in Fayetteville. This is in Brown County, of course. You just hope that everyone was able to get inside. We know Steve was telling them to do so as the storm was coming through this part of our area. And I know the neighbors I spoke to, everyone that I've seen so far is safe, which is good, and they're checking on their neighbors to make sure everyone's okay. We do know house over here has a tree fell onto that, damaged that house. As I mentioned, a tree fell onto the back porch of the neighbors I was speaking to, damaged that. You can see this. You know, this does better than any words. This shows you the damage here. It's taller than me, this massive pine tree. We're in Lake Lorelei in Fayetteville. We'll send it back to you for now, but this is, you can see what we're seeing out here damage-wise.
All right, keep roaming around and let us know that the root ball of a pine tree, taller, and I would say Josh Bazan is just about 6 feet tall. That is one large root ball for what is probably an extremely tall tree. Let's go now to Kristen Swilley. She is, say it again to me, Stephanie. All right, she is in Milford, right in front of that road closed sign. Okay, what you got, Kristen?
Hey, Tanya, we are here on 131 in Milford. I'm going to go ahead and step out of the way here so you can see just the fact that Duke crews out here, sort of a welcome sight, working on things. Power obviously out to this area. That's where just about a half a mile from where we were earlier. The road closed here. Again, this is a major route. This is State Route 131. Traffic backed up a little bit behind this Duke truck as they try and restore power to this area. Obviously going to be just sort of a long pursuit out here, though, with so much debris down. Again, we're not really seeing a lot in terms of property damage, so that's obviously good news. But they've had to put some flares in the road just to keep people from sort of going through this road closure where we are right now. And there appears to be some more people perhaps providing some backup to, again, address what is obviously a pretty large power outage right here. So all of this has just happened within the past 5 minutes or so. This was not here when we just came down this road to get where we were the prior 15 minutes or so to show you guys the first time. So all of this rapidly evolving out here. But again, good news in the fact that Duke Energy crews are out here responding. We know that they've been giving like a 4:30 a.m. Response time in terms of hoping to have things up in different parts of the city. No word yet on exactly when things will be fixed out here. But again, 131 is closed really in both directions out here as they work to restore things. Again, there's a lot of debris on the ground, so they've had to put some flares out. Some cars have been driving over things and doing some damage to the undercarriage of their cars, just trying to get through. So they have blocked this off as, again, they work to restore power to this area.
All right. Well, we thank you, Kristen Swilley, for bringing that to us. I know that it's very difficult for you guys to see. It's hard to cover such a visual thing in complete darkness, but it's great to see those Duke Energy crews out there already affecting change and trying to get our lives back to the weird new normal in which we are currently living. So we appreciate them doing that. I want to go one more time to Josh Bazan. We told you just a moment ago he is in Fayetteville, Indiana. What's going on? I'm sorry, you're in Fayetteville. Tell us exactly where you are, Josh.
Yeah, Tanya, we're in Fayetteville, Ohio, out in Brown County, one of the areas that was hit with this storm pretty bad. You can see here this pine tree that was uprooted. We're in Lake Lorelei, the neighborhood here. You can see it's much taller than me. I'll actually bring you around the side here. You can see, if we walk through a little bit, just how massive this tree really is. And it came down in, the side yard here for some of these neighbors. Luckily, this didn't fall on anybody's house. No damage to any homes from this tree. But we do know some of these houses on the end of this cul-de-sac here, one of the homes did have damage to the back porch, some windows broken on another home, a tree across the street from us did fall onto a portion of a home there. We just saw crews coming through to check on neighbors, make sure everybody's okay. The neighbors I spoke to were able to get inside into their basement. Everyone in those families is safe, which is important, and we know they were listening to the recommendations from meteorologists like Steve, who was telling everybody to get inside when this storm was coming through. But you can see here this tree, and I'll bring you around just to sort of show the roots where it was uprooted. Again, this sort of gives you a really good picture of the damage that we're seeing out here. This is, again, Brown County. You can see right here just how tall this tree is, just massive damage that they're seeing in this neighborhood here. We're going to continue looking around Lake Lorelei. Going to drive around Fayetteville just to see the extent of this damage, and we'll have more for you on Good Morning Tri-State. For now, we'll send it back to you, Tanya.
All right, thanks so much, Josh. You know, Josh brings up something really important. We have not heard of any injuries, any loss of life in any of these humongous storms that have rolled through our community. So that is excellent news. Josh, thanks so much. We hope that we continue to not have reports of anything like that as the days and the hours wear on, and as we start getting more and more reports from different communities. But for now, we are not hearing any of that. Josh, thanks so much. I want to go over to Steve Raleigh. Steve, you've got so many photos coming in, but one that you've talked about is a UDF that has some damage.
Yeah, there is. Let me skip up to that and show you what's going on, guys. If we can take this full when you get a chance, I'll show you that. I'll pull up here, and there's a couple other pictures worth showing. But this, the old Milford UDF, let's see, William Morton, and you'll see some of the damage. It also pops up. Look at the window there. Something obviously went through the window. So there was some winds flying around. You'll see all the damage on the ground as well. So it gives you an idea what happened over there in Milford. Also, as you look at it here, this was in Villa Hills, and this was someone's backyard just knocked over. Everything that was there was knocked over. That's not surprising given all the winds. And in fact, there was some damage over here in Mount Healthy. It's a smaller tree snap there, but nevertheless takes a little damage. There's a tree through the fence. Right, and there's some of the other, there's the tree, kind of a moderate, smaller size. Well, it's a pretty good sized tree, I guess, probably 6-8 inches or so, maybe, diameter. And so that shows you, as we kind of gone around here with all of these videos and things that folks have sent in, it gives you an idea. This was not an isolated event. Here's something new that's just come in from Owensville off of 50. Take a closer look at this. This gives you an idea what they were going through. And they said in the descriptor that there was some debris flying around at the time. Looks like maybe the door's cracked. Remember, folks, always take great care. Don't worry about getting video and such. But, boy, you get a sense of just how ferocious that storm was coming in and across that area. Let's see here. A couple other pieces of video. This was Germantown. Let's see if we can see it. It's kind of dark out that way, obviously, but I see.
Steve, let me go ahead and while you're doing that, I want to go out to Courtney Francisco one more time before we go off the air here. She is between Florence and Burlington on Kentucky 18. Hi, Courtney.
Tanya, I came to the other side here to show you that this is blocked off because traffic lights are down here. Let me show you the problem we're running into when semis come to this intersection where the sheriff's deputies have it blocked off. There's really hard for them to turn around here and go the other way. We are dealing with a lot of damage around central and northern Boone, Burlington area, possibly at the brunt of everything. Again, I'm here at the divider between Burlington and Florence. I do know that Oak Brook community, a lot of people live there. Deputies tell me trees were down in that area, but luckily crews have been able to clean most of that damage up so far. Tanya?
All right, thanks so much, Courtney. We appreciate that. I am getting a message from Jake Ryle, who is reminding me of this when we covered the tornadoes that rolled through Dayton, that first responders, EMT crews, firefighters, that kind of thing, went door to door in some areas that were hardest hit just to make sure that everyone was okay. We're expecting them, because we're hearing this coming off the scanners in Brown County, to be doing much of the same as we progress. Steve, we're going to sign off here in a second. Is there any last thoughts you have before we go?
Just get out and help your folks and the neighbors tomorrow. That's the big thing that's going to be important, because there's so many folks that are probably going to have damage, the seniors, things like that. From what we saw tonight, Tanya, I know there's going to be quite a lot of damage, and we've already showed a lot anyway. So it's a very sad night to me. But on an upside, at least things are going to be dry and better for us, so we can clean up and get out of this.
Yes, Stephen. Similarly, I just want to say I hope everyone out there is okay.
Yeah.
Things are things. Homes can be repaired. We know this. From our perspective, the story has just begun, and we will continue to stay on top of it. We will fan out across this tri-state. We know this is a widespread story, and we will do as much as we can to help each and every one of you through this process. You can count on us for that. I'm Tanya Rourke. That's Steve Raleigh, and we appreciate you joining us tonight. We're going to send you to
our program in progress.